hang on. What about you know? It's a hard one to pick, this one, but going up 1-2 twice is just fucking nuts.
This is defended, and this is a smart single taken by Rishabh Pant. The only thing about that is that they don't finish at the top. There is a downhill element before the finish, so there is the opportunity. There are, I think, only 4 summit finishes.
Going up once would kill anyone.
Well, they may just go up in the autobus. They may just somebody might attack off the front. You know, a climber who's deliberately lost time in order to get a chance to win the Queen stage might be let go. But I suspect all the GC men will just coast up the first time, and as much as one can coast up.
I've stood on it and looked at it and just thought, no way on earth.
The Giant of Provence, as this goes through to BJ Watling, who will have had some ice on his fingers as well as ice in his drinks at the lunch interval. India lead by 99. Jadeja has 12. He's batted beautifully. Pant a little frenetically, but he has 29. And when last I looked, I had 0 test match runs. So,
you sure?
Yeah. Who's the winner there? Jameson 2 for 22 off 17 overs, and he's about to finish this over. He really is a wonderful bowler. I know we've sung his praises. He's over the wicket to the left-handed Jadeja, who just drops the wrists on that sensible play from Jadeja, goes through to the keeper. It's the end of the over. India 131 for 5, and your tweets.
Well, Brian Barish has been very American today. He says, "Good day and good morrow, cricket fans. I was about to ask if it's too late to petition the ICC to not have an end time on today in order to ensure an actual result. They don't like draws, Americans, do they? Make them stay out late and break out the pink ball. But we might not need it with 5 down," he says.
Well, it's today is 2 days after the longest day of the year. It'll be light here till about 10:30 anyway. They wouldn't need a pink ball till about 9 o'clock. So they could go a lot later, Brian, but they won't.
Yeah, they all want to be off so they can watch the T20 on the telly from Cardiff anyway.
Well, there's football on tonight, as there is, isn't there?
Must be.
Alfric Cricket Club have tweeted us saying, "Make or break session. Love watching Pant bat." Yep, so do we. Even though he's a bit of a loon.
It's exciting. This man's going to bowl.
Yeah.
Given a shiny red ball, there is upon the pitch. Is Neil Wagner, the destroyer of batsmen.
And he's round the wicket, left arm to the left-handed Pant, and somewhat inevitably the ball goes way down the leg side to BJ Watling. Surprised, really. I thought Saudi would have opened up after lunch. You play your 2 best bowlers to start the session, Jameson being one of them, Saudi probably the other one. But they're going to work on Pant's ego with Wagner, and immediately he attempts to hit Wagner to Portsmouth, but misses the hook. He's missed an awful lot of deliveries, Rishabh Pant, in this innings.
Wow.
Goes through to BJ Watling.
He missed that by miles as well, didn't he? Just through the batter.
He was late on it, and he was well under it. Again, you know, he's shown good judgment in some of his knocks, particularly in Australia here. I mean, surely just have a little look at it after lunch. Just 4 or 5 balls or something. Just get yourself back into a rhythm. A short leg, I wouldn't want to be standing there. This is off the hip, and it's an easy run down to long leg, and through for that, where Trent Bolt is doing the fielding, perhaps reflecting on why he's not bowling. Thumbs up from Pant to Jadeja.
He believes in all his own
now 100.
He believes in all his own hype, Gary.
Yes, indeed. We'll come to your tweets at the end of the over. You can tweet us at Gorilla Cricket, and if Evil Scootus wants to give us his tip for the Tour de France, I'm sure we'll take that one.
When does it start? Sunday?
Saturday, I think.
Saturday.
This ball is through to BJ Watling, who takes it, and there is no run.
I'm not sure this is a great line here.
No, it's I'm not sure it's the line he wants to bowl. I think he wants to bowl into the body of both players, cramp them for room, and get them mistiming the big shots into the leg side, but his radar is a little askance at the moment. Jadeja, who probably won't slog as much as Pant, is in. Again, he just goes onto his toes, drops the ball to the man running in from Gully, who I think is Devon Conway, and there is no run.
Do you think we'll get a run out?
It's always possible, and these two are trying to bat positively, trying to put the pressure back onto the bowlers, and one way you can do that is by dropping and running. They're both pretty quick between the wickets, but you do have the idea.
Well, we're back. Welcome back indeed. And England went to tea on 138 for 4, losing Johnny Bairstow just as it looked as though he and Root would be steering England into tea, 3 wickets down. He was LBW. Shami was convinced. Kohli took a bit of persuading. He reviewed, and it was a successful review. And England lost their 4th wicket, so we're going to see Dan Lawrence back into the action shortly. I am with the one and only, not Fred Titmus. Hello, Fred.
Hello, the one and only Tony Bishop.
One and only.
Well, actually, you're not. No, there's another one, isn't there? Yeah.
There's another one. He's famous in a totally different line of work.
In a much more lucrative line of work.
Yes. And Nakul Pandey, whose voice you heard from the studio.
Hello.
In Sydenham.
There's probably more than one Nakul Pandey.
Yeah, not very many, even by India. Yeah, it's not. I've only ever met one other person with my name in person. Not that common, even in India, where there are a number of people. On the you mentioned the Shami LBW. I was doing some. We were talking about Bairstow and his problems on the delivery that goes very straight to him. Since the start of 2018, 44% of Mohammad Shami's Test wickets are bowled or LBW. No other bowler with as many Test wickets is that high. So it was the matchup was not in Bairstow's favour on that occasion, and Shami has, I think, been the best of India's bowlers today, and really did attack Bairstow where he is weakest and is well suited to doing so.
Yeah, although since Bumrah's come back, he's getting the ball, which is now about 50 overs old. He's still getting it to move appreciably, possibly reversing, and those two could prove difficult to play if they're getting the ball to reverse.
You can sort of see a situation where it could go 2 wildly different ways, couldn't it? This final session of the day. Well, 3, I suppose you could argue that, but would we be surprised if three or 4 wickets fell over? No. England, I think, would be delighted if Root and Lawrence was still there at the close. India, I think, with that 4th wicket, will feel on top of things right now. It's not an easy time for Dan Lawrence to come in either.
Well, when is? I mean,
well, true. Yes.
You are at number 6 in a Test lineup. You can't expect every time you come in to be 240 for 4. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes you're going to have to dig out and drag your team out of a hole. Not that England are in a massive hole, but still plenty of work needs to be done.
But when is an easy time to bat? Coming out when Brian Lara is on 275 in Antigua in 2004, but that doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen very often. Check through the record books.
Go on. Jingle.
Anyway, 138 for 4 is the score. Dan Lawrence and Captain Joe Root will be taking up the story. We're going to jingle up, I think, the new batsman for sure. Here he is.
Dan, the batting man. You want some runs? Dan, comes from 6 foot price of van. If that does a grand with the watering can.
Shami's going to continue from the Radcliffe Road end. Lawrence, it will be who's going to take first strike. There's 2 slips and a gully, some dark, quite brooding clouds over Trent Bridge, and driven straight to mid-off by Lawrence, and there is no run. Exactly what you were saying, Knuckle. Wicket to wicket, quite full, looking for that little bit of swing that certainly did for Johnny Bairstow.
Yeah,
Lawrence played it tidy enough on that occasion.
Does get the ball into the right hander. Bumrah was moving the new ball both ways as poor Rory Burns found out. I'll jingle up Shami. He's obviously partway through his over after he took the wicket partway through the last over before.
He's got 3 balls left.
Tee.
So we'll just wait till after this ball. In he comes. The 2 slips go down. Again, it's quite full, and Lawrence guides it to mid-on this time. And there is no run.
He's coming down fast and moving it too. Tell me the answer. He may be a bowler, but he's often injured. Look out, Muhammad Shami. Muhammad Shami. Muhammad Shami.
In comes Mohammad Shami. Full down leg. And a bit of a fumble by Rishabh Pant. And there is no run. It would have been a wide, of course, in the type of cricket that Lawrence has been playing recently. What's he been doing? He's been playing for the London Spirit, so by default hasn't been doing much of note. What's he got? He got 29 for Essex in T20.
He was
back in mid-July.
He was batting well for Essex in the first half of the county championship season.
He was. It's just a question of how much of that they've retained with what's gone on in between. Jury's very much out at the moment so far for this performance, and that's gone down leg. I think he's flicked it. He has. He's been leg strangled by Shami. Up goes the finger. Lawrence has just answered our question. He's brought his spirit form into the test arena, and off he goes.
Then he waddled away, waddle.
Shami again bowling very straight. Lawrence does like to clip through the leg side. Not sure he was intending to strangle him per se. There was no leg side catcher behind square, but Lawrence's attempted flick to leg just too fine. Very easy take for Rishabh Pant. And that hole Fred was talking about has just got a little bit deeper.
It rather has. Now we're going to see Butler or Curran in next. I would imagine it's Josh Butler, isn't it?
It'll be somebody else who's come straight from the 100.
It'll be someone else who hasn't done
and it's
an awful
virtually the
lot
whole
of-
team.
Well,
I think
yes, indeed.
all the batsmen other than Sibley have been playing the 100. I believe. So,
can you imagine Sibley in the 100? It's not really built for him, is it?
well, the funny thing is, because the counties have lost a lot of players to the 100, in the 50 over game, they were left with the remainders of their players, many of whom wouldn't be selected for 50 over cricket normally, but they just don't have the people to fill out a team. So, Alistair Cook and I don't know, Tim Murtagh, these people
Cook's
who
been having a
who
lovely time of it in the 50,
Well, absolutely.
in the 50 over cup.
Well, yeah, but there are people who wouldn't normally expect to be playing white ball cricket that have had a new lease of life.
Well, it's another wicket for the 31-year-old Mohammad Shami. He's 32 in September.
Good month.
Yeah, is that when your birthday is as well, Fred?
I'm not saying anything, but
Well, there's a fairly large hint, though, unless you're just, for some reason, a fan of September.
Let's
who isn't?
let us jingle up the England
We'll do
wicketkeeper.
that.
Prior ain't no loss, 'cause we've found someone Sutler. Okay, he can't spell Joss, but he also can't spell Butler. Joss Butler. Just because he is Joss Butler. 1 S and 2 T's, Joss Butler.
Certainly nothing resembling any form of red ball cricket for Joss before June. Onwards indeed. This one short and cut by Root. There's a man at deep backward point. It's Siraj, and it will just be a single. So Joss Butler, 1 S and 2 T's, is going to have to keep his captain company for the rest of the day if England are going to get anything resembling a decent score, you feel?
Let's jingle up that captain.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a pit, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
And the bowler that who'll be bowling at Butler.
And now then, Marty Bumrah, oh, you're bowling again, aren't you? Oh, I thought as much.
Comes Bumrah. He's going to be bowling from that pavilion end. He's got 2 slips and a gully ready. It's full, it's driven, but it's driven to a man at extra cover who dives to his left. It's our friend Pujara, described by Knuckle as Muppety. Not in the sense that he's a effing muppet, but in the sense that he does look rather. Who is the case? Is it Sam the American Eagle? He looks like he reminds you of that.
Sam the Eagle, big beak.
Yes, that's what it is, and he kind of does.
He's got a NASA proboscis, isn't he?
A Nasser-esque.
Oh, it's not.
He's Nasser-esque of nose.
It doesn't have the curve to it. It's just very long.
In comes Bumrah, full, and tucks Root up as he's trying to steer it away to leg. That's needs to be a little bit careful with that shot. It accounted for Lawrence before he'd put any runs on the board. Quite a dramatic shift. You've always felt all day that England have just steadied as things a little bit and then lost a couple of quick wickets. One either side of tee has really rather altered the complexion of this innings.
I think that's going to be the story of the
It's not a very
Bedlow
good batting
and
lineup against a good bowling lineup.
It's going to be the story of the series, I think, on both sides. Wickets are going to fall in clusters.
Not many draws.
Well, let's wait and see. I've got one draw down in my series prediction. That one beats the outside edge of Butler, whose feet weren't moving, his bat was dangled, and it was taken by Pant. It didn't touch anything on its way through, but it could so easily have done. Bumrah is moving. He's got a very sort of purposeful sort of move back to his mark, hasn't he, Bumrah? He's sort of. You always look like he's plotting the next move of what he's going to attempt, which of course I suspect he is. There's that hop, that skip and the jump, and he's in with that very stiff arm of his, and it's played nicely by Butler on this occasion into the offside, and there is no run. What's he been doing, has Joss, for the Werther's Originals? Got 30 against the Phoenix, 8 against the Invincibles. Of course, he put a few runs on the board against Pakistan and Sri Lanka, didn't he? He got a 68, a 59, a 21.
Yeah, it was batted.
Very, very different situation, of course, to the one he finds himself in now.
Batted well in the one test in India that he played.
Yes, he did. You're absolutely right. Which was the one England won, first up, wasn't it? Bumrah in and pushed away into the onside by Butler. There is no run. He's clearly a man here who's looking to try and get himself off the mark, as we take a blimp view of Trent Bridge. Curious sort of angled ground, isn't it, Fred? I know you've been there many times. And we're looking over to
not many.
football ground as well.
It's quite a small ground. Good sight areas from pretty much all parts of the ground.
Yeah,
it's been one stand which is too straight, which sort of cuts off a corner of it.
Yeah, that it means that the pavilion's also at a slight angle now because of that new stand to the one side of it. It does cut off at a. You notice this in white ball cricket where you have one boundary where suddenly there's just a strange diagonal line across it.
The pavilion's always been at an angle. It's one of its features, which they actually retained, I think, when they redesigned the ground. To sort of keep
that stand is sort of the Alex Hales benefit stand, because sometimes they're quite short boundaries. And
are you talking about the
takes full use
Fox Road stand?
Yeah,
the
one with the triangles.
Yeah. Yes, this one's left alone outside of the off stump, and through to Pant it goes.
I've not been
39.45.
I've not been since the redevelopment, and I'm going on Saturday, so I'll get to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, it's great viewing, particularly from behind the arm.
Used to host football as well, didn't it? As of course did the Oval. Both Forest and Notts County played at various times at Trent Bridge.
It's a very old ground.
Cricket is now going on. So it's 1830 was the first time cricket was played here. 1889, I think, was the first test. And this one is played nicely by Root, sort of dabbed down to gully, and there is no run. 83 miles an hour from Mohammed Shami, who has bowled magnificently. 3 for 18 for him off 14.2 overs. The virtue knackle of good line and good length.
Yeah, he did this in the World Test Championship final as the bowler, probably on India's best bowler of that game, and he bowled magnificently really through India's last tour in 2018, but was really very unlucky.
He comes again from that Radcliffe Road end, swings away from Root, who plays a line, holds that line, and is happy to see the ball go past into the gloves of Rishabh Pant.
He's bowled well. He's now bowling at the Radcliffe Road end, started from the pavilion end. Bumrah's also switched ends, and he's bowled equally well from both ends, bowling pretty much the exact same line of attack, mostly very straighter, inside of off stump rather than outside, and he's been really
Yes.
difficult to play.
He has indeed. He has that. What am I saying? Rag dangling from his back pocket as this one is pushed away into the onside by Joe Root. There is no run. 139.45. It looked a very different sort of game when they were about a similar score for 3. 2 wickets to the score, and England are right under the pump here.
Jeffrey's
They
there.
are applying that pressure.
Mr. Boycott is there, of course, and I'm sure we'll be muttering that to anyone who's unlucky enough to
He
be in
was
earshot.
showing great interest when it was a pair of Yorkshiremen at the crease, of course, as that one swings away a little bit. It's steered by Root to gully. No run.
And they put on
Shami persisting with relentless line and giving no space to Root to free his arms. Sorry, Nak, we were going to say something there.
Root and Bairstow put on 72 at just a shade over 3 runs and over, and Bairstow was starting to look more confident and getting his weight into the drive, and a couple of really nice shots off Siraj, but he succumbed to what has been his weakness in Test cricket since that incredible year in 2016.
Shami's in, that swings, and that one does give just enough space for Root to free his arms and flay that out to the cover boundary for 4 runs. That was a beautiful shot.
Me,
And
says
probably
she. It's me, says she.
worst ball. I think Shami's bowled of his spell. It would
Wasn't
he
that
less
bad?
full. Well, it wasn't that bad a ball. That's the point. But it was just
a
less
bit of width.
full. Bit of width, less full, and it gave Joe Root everything he needed.
It's not a half volley by any means, and there is
No.
a deep point in position. That was something South Africa used a lot, actually, at this ground in 2017, I think, when Root scored a very quick 50 there. They had the deep point back, but Root's managed to use the bottom hand to guide it into the gap. His use of his placement's been excellent. And he has looked, again, a different class for England.
Well,
Who
he
have we
is.
got on social, by the way?
We haven't got anything on social, so keep talking, Tony. You're going to have to earn your money this stint.
I don't think I do every stint. I earn every penny that they pay me.
Yes,
Which
and you're
of
worth
course.
every penny that they pay.
As indeed, Fred, as indeed are you. So that one, a beautiful shot by Root. Bumrah will carry on the attack. He's going to bowl to Joss Butler, who's yet to get himself off the mark. So he will get off the mark this time, though, or perhaps he won't, because that was a superb diving stop at gully by Ravi Jadeja.
Yeah, whose whites nearly ended up round
Less
his
white.
knees.
Well, exactly.
Was
was slightly uppish, actually.
Not control at all.
No, it was off
No,
the
it
outside part of the bat, almost the thick outside edge, and bounced a fair way short of Jadeja at backward point, who, yes, nearly did dive out of his whites.
Now that would have been worth seeing.
I remember Michael Vaughan did that several years ago.
Actually dived out of his trousers.
Yeah, that clip goes around every now and again.
He was trying to make the headlines.
In comes Bumrah. Oh, and that has Butler jumping and fencing and missing, and didn't quite take the top of off stump. Rishabh Pant looks on in consternation. Bumrah has a big old smile on his face. We'll definitely be thinking that's a huge moral victory.
In
Could have
2018,
taken the outside edge, it didn't.
in 2018, India had England in similar positions to this, or even worse, a number of times, and failed to finish England off. India are not great at bowling out the tail. On that year, it was a little bit of Butler and a lot of Sam Curran, who rescued England from some very parlous positions.
A 1 for 34 for him. Bowling a third ball of this over, Butler. On the back foot. Prods, really. So it's not the most convincing of defensive shots. That looked more like a prod with a bat a bit away from the body, but it had the desired effect. The lights are shining quite brightly at Trent Bridge now, so these dark clouds come over and we're seeing the lights picked out. They're very interesting shaped lights as well. They're sort of, how would you describe that shape? There's oval, circular.
The ones at Headingley are supposed to represent a rose, but they just don't look quite like it. I'm not sure what these are. Something similar.
Yeah, no, they are. You're absolutely right. 3 slips in place, left by Butler, through to Pant. Butler scratching his mark determinedly. He's got Kohli. What's Seakai? He's still without the yellow sunglasses after tea. He's gone back to the more standard white frames.
They do with the wraparounds. They do look like very expensive ski goggles.
They don't do much good when they're on your cap.
No, it's not really It's not really bright enough to be bothering with them.
No, I suspect that is the case. However, he may be contractually bound to be seen with them in some capacity. Bumrah, those arms in front of his chest as he hops and skips. And he's fallen in, and has it taken an edge? No, it was between bat and pad. Pant dived away to his left. It was another horrible non-shot, really, from
That's
Butler.
no sort of a shot at all. I
It
mean,
was
that's like a number 11 who's just stuck his bat out and hoped for the best.
It was a Yorker, really, and it completely flummoxed Josh
If you
Butler,
wanted a masterclass on how not to play an in-swinging Yorker, I think that would be high on the list of shots to
He
play.
almost looked like
move your feet and so sort of play a half high. It wasn't even in a drive, it was sort of a waft.
It almost
wasn't
looked like he didn't pick it up. He's so late on it.
Bumrah in again, he'll be feeling good about that. So he tries the same thing again, and this one at least is a little bit more convincing by Butler, slightly more on leg stump.
I was just going to say he should try the other thing again, and he hadn't, because he bowled a sort of a late delivery rather than a full one. Oxymoronica gets in touch to say, I missed it. Was Lawrence unlucky, or should he have been leaving the ball well alone? Well, you don't score many runs by leaving the ball well alone. It was a ball that he could turn down to long leg for a single to get off the mark, but he just got a very thin edge. And it was a comfortable catch for Pant.
It sort of grazed the face of the bat, really. I wouldn't say that either of those things are true. As you say, Fred, it was a scoreable delivery, and he didn't play it that well.
No. We've finally got a message on YouTube. It's from Multi Apples, and he says, or she says, "Oh."
As this one is, oh. Well, that's probably O, as in the wicket. Root plays this away into the offside. We're seeing a full Trent Bridge, of course, with people with their beer and their sandwiches and their picnics.
Your contractor to say that it's every seat is sold and the atmosphere is electric.
Well, it's not. I can say what I like, and it's very hard to. I mean, the atmosphere certainly from an English crowd perspective, would probably be concerned rather than electric. Concerned that, as ever, Joe Root holds the key to anything resembling a decent score, one feels, for England. Were he to go, who knows? He does flick it backward of the square leg umpire. Bumrah, who'd just been bowling, is called back into the action again. Puts in a sharp throw. But Root will get himself 2. He's moved on to 57. Josh Butler's faced 11. Hasn't got himself off the mark yet.
Just a single, I think.
Oh, did he just take a single? Yes, it was. The junior work experience captioning
they've been
trainee.
having issues with it all day. It disappeared for 3 overs at one point.
I noticed that. I suddenly looked up at my TV, and you know what? When I looked at my TV, I thought there's something different, but I can't quite figure out what it is.
Until you came to read the score.
Well, yes, it literally took me an over to work out what's different. Then I realised, oh gosh, no captions. Shami in again. My word, he's bowled well. That one though swings away, swings quite late, and it's easy enough for Butler to leave outside of his off stump. There's no run. 144 for 5.
The only one of India's bowlers who hasn't been near their best is Mohammad Siraj, who's bowled a little bit both sides of the wicket, and the odd one a bit too floaty and too full. Bumrah's been very threatening, has got the ball to go both ways, worked over Rory Burns beautifully in the first over. Shardul Thakur has been keeping it very tight and getting the ball to swing away, and Jadeja's created a couple of chances as well.
Shami is going to be in once more. Full, and gets the full face of the Butler bat. Not a lot of work with the feet, but it's away into the offside, and there is no run. He's played twice at Trent Bridge, has Mohammad Shami. He played in both 2014 and 18. He's certainly surpassed his best bowling figures, because his previous best was 2 for 128 in the 2014 draw. He got
was that the game that Pankaj Singh toiled manfully and in vain for long periods of time.
It would have been one of them. That was the game where James Anderson got 81.
Oh yeah,
Alistair Cook got a wicket with a Bob Willis impression.
Forward comes Butler to mid-off. There is no run.
Well, in that
the highest score with a bat of 51.
That was it, and that was
the dead game.
That was in that same game on one of the deadest test pitches you will ever see.
Well, that's poor. You always feel slightly sorry for a bowler who doesn't bat. When you always have to caveat his best ever score by going, well, of course it.
Well, yeah, people don't tend to score career bests on impossible wickets.
Well, this is very true. In comes Shami, left by Butler, high leave. Kohli is got a big old smile on his face. I think they're enjoying their work, India. It's the end of the 55th over. It's another good one for Shami. Route 58, Butler yet to get off the mark after 15 balls, and we will go to our king of social communications.
Knuckle, is our YouTube working?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
I thought it stopped for a moment. Not much going on the Twitter sphere, although Jay Grover says, I better read this first before I read it out. Yeah, he says, I have a sneaking suspicion that the only reason Dar, I think that means his father, loathes and despises short-form cricket is because he can't make the joke, come on you whites, which apparently he's found hilarious since 1949. That's a good joke. Well done, Jay.
Sounds like the sort of joke my dad would have done. Very similar. 144 for
He could
5.
say, come on you hula hoops.
Well, he could, yes indeed, or you pop chips. Fenced up by Root this time. Very unconvincing. Rishabh Pant, big old smile, or perhaps a grimace on his face. Captain Kohli next to him. They sort of exude a kind of a menace, those two, don't they, with one at wicketkeeper and one at slip. I'm not quite sure what it is.
Rishabh Pant is the sort of, well, he'll be described as a kind of child who described as a menace. He's like a very... he's like a puppy with an awful lot of energy.
Well, as so many puppies do.
Totally started on pets.
In comes Bumrah. Back foot, played, dabbed by Root. Wide of Gully. It will go down to third man, and Root will get a single. And we will get the chance to see Jos Buttler travails continue. 15 he has faced yet to get off the mark.
It's worth remembering, Jos Buttler was probably England's best batter of last Test summer. In 2020, he made a number of important contributions, not least the match-winning 100 against Pakistan, and he has been starting to look like a proper, a genuine good Test 6 or 7.
Indeed, there are 3 slips and a gully in place for Jasprit Bumrah as he pops in. 1 for 35 for him. Swing and a miss by Butler. Again, for all the world, he could have got an edge to that. Virat Kohli enjoyed it.
I tell you what, if he gets out now, this will be one of the worst ducks I've ever seen.
Well, I think you're right. It did cut away. It was a cutter from...
Well, yes, but they've all been moving in or out. I mean, he might have noticed that.
Indeed, he probably should have done. Jasprit Bumrah has certainly surpassed the efforts of at Durham in that... oh no, I'm looking at the World Test Championship. Well, which he didn't have a good time in, did he?
Didn't take
what
a
did he
wicket.
get? Duck with the ball, none for 57, none for 35 in that World Test. He didn't play, I don't think, in the counties game.
He did.
From recollection.
He did.
Oh, yes, he did. I'll tell you, he's got his numbers in a minute. As this one is left once more by Butler. He got in the counties game, scored 5, 1 for 29. He got Robert Yates of Warwickshire, was his wicket in that. Who was caught by KL Rahul. And then he took none for 11 in the second innings, so it wasn't exactly spectacular, but at least he got back amongst the wicket.
No, he bowled well in that game. It was very testing to play against. And watch some of that County 11 game on the Durham YouTube stream.
145 for 5. Bumrah is going to be in. To Butler again. He beats the outside edge, and he's probably got the edge. He hasn't got it. He's taken the outside edge. Butler's horrible innings.
He's been put out of his misery.
Merciful conclusion, and I'm afraid things are looking dire for England. It's 145 for 6. Are you watching ECB?
Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle.
Yeah, that had been coming. It was a good delivery from Bumrah, angling in from wide of the crease and just held its line to take the edge. But Butler's been in no sort of position to play any of the attacking strokes that he's attempted.
I mean, there's ducks and there's ducks. I suppose you could argue he survived 16 or 17 balls.
That
but
almost
the reality
he was very lucky to survive.
He looked
almost makes it
totally
worse.
out of touch against all of them.
That almost makes it worse. Rory Burns could really have done nothing about the delivery that got him out. Particularly Lawrence, tried to play a perfectly acceptable attacking stroke to a ball or a run-scoring stroke and got it wrong. But Butler never looked fluent or comfortable at any point during that innings for a player who, as I say, was batting very well in Test cricket in 2020 and looked good in the one Test he played in India. These are testing.
Has he played any red ball cricket this year? This English season?
Butler?
No, he hasn't. And I'm sure that and so it does take a little bit of time. And he he never looked like he'd got back into any sort of rhythm in terms of his feet or his head movement or his weight, and that had been coming. And now England are again reliant on Sam Curran to dig them out of a hole with lower order runs, which he has done a number of times, not least against India, which no India fan will need reminding of. Jingle.
Well, the only bit of bad news I need to give you, perhaps, after the
Sam Curran.
What's his distinguishing feature?
Sam Curran.
His dad's from Zimbabwe.
Sam Curran.
And he's beloved by Liz Yates.
Sam Curran.
Well, Sam Curran, since the 29th of June, 9 not out he got against Sri Lanka, didn't bat in the next 2 ODIs, a 6 for the Invincibles against the Originals, and then another did not bat at Lords in a T20 in another 100 game. So he's only had 2 innings, none of them of course red ball, and now he's facing Jasprit Bumrah with his tail right up, swings and he fences it, so just about keeps it down to gully, and there is no run.
One thing I will say about this, it is all true, and some of India's players, those who didn't play the World Test Championship final, have had very little red ball cricket recently. The last Ranji Trophy season didn't happen. The last Ranji Trophy.
At least they arranged a game, even to
some of those players
put some of their own players.
Some of those
I thought it was quite entertaining that they managed to injure the 2 players that they'd lent to the opposition.
And this kind of thing is going to keep happening. There is a point beyond which it becomes a bit of an excuse.
Well, no, that's not exactly the point I'm making. Actually, you could say, and I think I will say, that had the England top 6 not played any cricket in the last 2 months for whatever reason, they might have been better off than if they've been playing county T20s and the 100, because it's not just that you haven't played any red ball cricket. You actually played a type of cricket which is going to make your test batting worse. So India, by not having done anything at all, might be better off in terms of preparation than this England team.
And as we said, they managed to at least arrange a good competitive game. Siraj, and that Root couldn't have got anywhere near that. I'm not sure it'd be quite a wide, but you certainly wouldn't have gone chasing it.
No.
It was far enough away to because it seemed to swing further away.
Yeah, interesting trying to bowl.
We know that scheduling is being a major problem, and we're in a completely unrealistic scenario at the moment where things are difficult to arrange, and that's not to blame anyone. But from the England point of view, they've actually scheduled this Test cricket in the middle of the 100 competition. Look at it that way.
In comes Bumrah. Root just steers that away and will get a single. He's playing on a different wicket, somehow on a different planet almost, is Joe Root. He's moved on to 60. Goodness me, if England didn't have that 60, well, we'd be all done and dusted by now.
We'd be 86. Joe Grover says, I think, talking about people's highest score tending to be on favourable conditions, he says, I think Stuart Broad's highest test score has to be the biggest kick in the balls caveat. Well, a test that's known for other things.
Well,
the ball was moving.
An astonishing innings.
The ball was moving plenty in that innings. Mohamed Ahmed was getting it to swing round corners with the new ball.
We thought this was the second coming of Gary Sobers. I mean, it was that extraordinary, his batting.
It was. Siraj is over the wicket and onto the back foot by Curran, and he will get off the mark, but they have to run and quickly, which they do. Gave his captain a little moment of concern, but I think Root had been sharply backing up, and Sam Curran at least gets himself shifting. 147 for 6. Wickets either side of T, followed by the dismissal of Jos Buttler, who scratched and prodded and generally looked horribly out of sorts.
The jingle up Mohamed Siraj. Interesting change after only 3 overs from Shami, who'd been bowling superbly.
Siraj in again onto the back foot by Root, and there will be no run.
There's only one man who can save us now. Where's Mama's hero?
Wonder if this is a specific thing that they've worked out to Sam Curran, perhaps, who India basically failed to stop at any point in that 2018 series, and it cost them a couple of the Test matches.
seem to be a bunch of people dressed as, are they chickens?
There are
it's the
chickens and
butcher
one
and
butcher.
turkeys or ducks or chickens, are they? Ducks probably. That one is short, bounced, and Root decides to keep his bat well underneath it. Had Pant jumping behind those stumps. 147 for 6 in the 57th over. So there's still plenty of life in a 58 overs old ball.
The Dukes hold their shape and hold their seam very well. Even on pitches that, I think Fred's probably right. These pitches this season aren't doing as much as they were previously.
Siraj in, this one is pulled by Root. Down past square leg, all the way for 4. A super shot. It's the end of the over. It's 4 runs to finish it with.
Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
We're going to have a change. It's going to be the Bear. Nestlers and Hendo will take up what is increasingly a sorry old story.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? I've just noticed that England have this propensity to lose wickets around intervals, which is sort of inappropriate since there are 3 of them, or a start, a lunch, a tea, a close of play. So you lose one right at the beginning of the day, you lose a couple on the brink of lunch, or just after lunch. You lose 1 or 2. You lose one just before tea. You lose one just after tea. In fact, more than one just after tea. And we've seen England be in this position again. I think it was in one of the New Zealand tests that Sibley had batted well in the morning and then got out very early in the second session.
Bumrah is in, gets that to shape away from Curran. I'm sorry, I've got a nut stuck in my throat. But he gets it through the slip cordon off the outside edge of his bat, and it goes away for 4 runs.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Yeah, we've lost wickets at inopportune times, Hendo.
Is there ever an opportune time to lose wickets? Probably not, but I'm sort of only going anecdotally here of what I've observed, but if one of those very clever CricViz analysts could get out there and look at how many wickets England lose around intervals compared with other teams, I think it might make interesting reading.
Well, it's like giving away a goal just before half time.
Exactly. That's exactly that.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. That said, sorry.
Bumrah is in again. It shakes away from Curran, beats it outside edge, squares him up, goes through the pant. There's no run. I mean, what have England got to get? 250 minimum here with their 4 wickets left. It's doable with the bat and the next 3 could get 100 between them theoretically. Easy.
Yeah, I mean but it is so hard. I mean, we're talking about guys who've hardly played any red ball cricket. Suddenly you've got 3 slips in the gully that have been there all day, and yet in sort of the white ball format, you might have a slip for a couple of overs, if that.
That's true.
You can't play those shots with freedom that you can play in white ball cricket.
No,
and that takes a mental adjustment.
It does, and it'll be the same for India as well, though. Of course,
To an extent, I suppose, yeah.
Bumrah is in again. That's harrowing in on middle slump, shaping away, very full. Curran managed to get a bat on it a bit more comfortably this time. Squares it out to cover, and there's no run.
Messi Jez just says Buttler is a great white ball cricketer. That is all.
He's had a fair few decent innings in red ball cricket.
He should have got more hundreds, shouldn't he? I mean, I think he's 200s and 1850s. Should have turned a couple more of those into hundreds, I think.
I mean, the thing is, techniques are so different now. I mean, this is why everyone has a pop at Gary, I think, on the WhatsApp. It's like cricket has moved on, and players do play multi-formats. So classical techniques are fewer and far between, and the players that do play them tend to be pretty good players. That's beats the outside edge once again of Curran, once again shaping away from him as it comes down a wicket from Bumrah.
They're different beasts now these days.
They are, and I think it's it's very difficult when a team's bowling this well and they've got good conditions. I think whichever team batted might have struggles a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that
something all day.
I think they're 2 very good bowling attacks as well, and I think both batting lineups are a little bit flaky, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to call Virat Kohli flaky, but he hasn't got a 100 for a little while either.
No, and it's hard to call Root flaky, but I mean, there's only a couple of guys on each side that you really fear, isn't there? Oh, that one swings him massively. but it's going down leg side. It's very full again. He's trying Yorkers, or he's basically trying to get it right up there to give it as much chance to swing as possible. He's bowling in the high 80s, and that one just swings back viciously into Curran's pads. It's going way down leg side. But he's very late.
It's not reverse, but it is significant the amount of swing that he's getting. I mean, you could see that the ball was shiny on the right-hand side there as he delivered that one on the inside when he was bowling the in-swingers. He's really come back with plenty of fire in his belly, hasn't he, Jasprit Bumrah?
Well, he has. The interesting thing will be, of course, as this one is another one that's swinging away, not as viciously as the other. It starts on about Midland leg, and it's a little bit shorter into the pitch as well. And Curran gets well behind it, defends it back up the track, and there's no run. Jasprit Bumrah, he was a bit lacklustre, I thought, in the World Chess Championship final.
Oh, very much, yeah. Very much so, yeah.
And he struggled a bit. He went away for his wedding, didn't he, when we were over there? But he didn't look after. Was that after the first test? I can't even remember.
Yeah, it was. Well, no, he came back for another test. But I mean, actually, looking back, we were talking about he hadn't taken a wicket in a long time. I actually traced that back, and he hadn't taken a wicket since the first test against England in India, which comprised 281 balls.
Was that just in red ball cricket?
Just in red ball test cricket, yeah.
That's quite a long time, isn't it?
281 balls. I think it was 46.5 overs, something like that.
Okay. Well, if he can stay fit for the entire series, that'd be interesting.
Well, could be over quickly.
It could be. England have got some good bowlers. I'm not so fussed about our bowling. I'm glad that Ollie Robinson's back. I want to see him again. He excited me the first time he played, and then of course we didn't get to see him again. And that was 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
Shardul Thakur is back into the attack. That's got to be close. It is out. Root's done it again. He's played round the front pad. That's got to be out, hasn't it? He is going to walk off. He just played all around a straight one. Played down the wrong line, and it just shaped back in. And shit. We've got to say goodbye to Rooty now too.
Get on your bike and take a hike right out of here. Your history, no good for me. Your history, nah.
It's a problem with Rooty. he toughs out all the stuff and then just plays around a straight one every once in a while and gets himself LBW.
It's a better ball than that. I mean, it's swung from leg stump, hasn't it?
It did.
From just outside leg stump. It's a really good ball. And it's first up. It's the first ball of a new spell.
Yeah.
And he's been playing the ball that's been swinging into him and doing all sorts of other things. Suddenly he's got another new challenge, and he's just got it wrong once. And, when the bowling is this tight and this good, you've got a very small margin for error as a batsman. Even with one as good as Joe Root, I'm afraid.
Well, okay, so we should have, because he has just got a wicket, we should play the bowler. And England's new batsman is this man, back.
So here's to you, Ollie Robinson. Dizzy loves you now, you change your tune. You're not a buffoon. How will you bowl, Ollie Robinson? No one took more county wickets than you the last year or two.
One thing's for sure, 155 isn't enough.
Well, we've got two days of rain coming up, so it'll all be about Saturday and Sunday, I think.
Is it going to rain for 2 days? I thought it was going to be on and off for a couple of days.
Well, I think I saw that Friday was going to be a massive storm front heading over most of the UK, so I think it's going to be pretty difficult. I mean, look at it now. I mean, it's much darker than it was when we started this morning.
Yeah, true.
It reminds me of Lords back in 2018 when Jimmy was making it go around corners. The lights are on, and it's been doing that without. It's been moving without floodlights, and now it's got the lights to help as well.
Yeah. Thakur comes in. He bowls it full, and Robinson just plays down the line back to the bowler, and ain't no run. 155 for 7. England are in deep shit. 58.2 overs gone.
Well, Colin Rosenthal, I think at Butler's wicket, just quotes, "You were lucky to get none." Pirate Badshaw's very excited. He's going to start watching the 100 because Paul Sterling's going to play for the Southern Brave.
I'm quite keen on the Southern Brave. I like watching James Vince, and he's when he batted so well in that ODI, didn't he?
You've been turned, Hendo. Was that
Slightly.
live? That was live. Left alone outside the off stump by Ollie Robinson. Through to Pant. Again, shaping away, no run. I mean, Pant, they bowled very well, I think, you have to say, of India as well. And England have got to do the same.
Well, Oxymoronica says, here we go again. England's batting woes continue.
Perennial.
Well, I mean, I think we always knew it was going to be a struggle for England if the ball was moving around today. No one's really got any confidence in this team at the moment.
No.
And that's, a massive element.
Oh dear, he's out. Robinson has gone back. He's tried to pull that. Maybe he threw his shot a little bit too early. Toe-ended it. And he just looped gently up to mid-on.
Nice shot.
England are in deep shit. Ollie Robinson has gone for none. England are 155 for 8. For crying out loud. Why did I come in today?
Because you love it.
Fuck off! Just fuck off! On your bike, mate.
It's Mohammed Shami, I believe, was catching that.
Well, Jay Grover, I think, has sussed it all out.
Yep.
I'm as loath to the 100 as anyone, but I have a revolutionary theory that England are a wee bit wank.
Yeah, that's
right.
insightful. Truly insightful.
Well, I think that sort of sums it up. They're a wee bit wank.
I just think England, they are just so bereft of confidence or the method of what they're doing that when one wicket starts, one or two wickets fall against really good bowling, there's just a mass panic, isn't it? There's just you feel as if there's pressure on every batsman.
What's wrong with Ravi?
What's wrong with who?
Ravi. Why was Ravi spouting off?
Not Fred is being obtuse as always. Tony Bishop is so against the 100, it's sad. Only Nakul Pandey is keeping up your reputation for impartiality. Very sad.
I don't think sad, and it's Ravi. I mean, to be honest, what about your reputation? As someone who absolutely despises county cricket, I mean, there's, that sort of, pours out of you. Out of your pores, if you like. But I wouldn't say I've had my head turned by it at all. I've not enjoyed it to a certain extent. That said, if I had to have my full concentration upon it, I don't know whether I would. But it is obviously having an effect on other forms of the game. Certainly, as far as England are concerned, because they play so much cricket of all sorts.
Well, yeah, and the fact is that there's no long-form cricket in the summer, as you said, in a lead-up to a bloody really important test series against India.
I'll come back with those figures that were from this morning, actually, which were very interesting.
Shall I play the new Batsman's jingle before you do?
Yeah, well, you might need to do it quickly.
Okay, I will try. It's this man.
What would make Broad walk?
If his stumps were knocked down,
What would make Broad walk?
caught 5 feet off the
What
ground,
would make Broad walk?
if he trod on his
What would
stumps,
make Broad walk?
if God was one of the
What
arms,
would make Broad walk?
Broad walk.
What Broad?
Gets his first ball is a big in-swinger from, it's Thacker, isn't it? And it's driven sweetly, in a very Stuart Broad way. He plays that shot quite well, And he drives it out through the covers to the boundary for a 4. He's making it look easy.
Go on, Broady.
He's got 169.
One ball before tea, England were 138 for 3. Then they lost Bairstow, and they are now 159 for 8.
So
it's another wonderful England collapse.
Yeah.
Those figures from this morning are that Crawley has faced only 6 red ball deliveries since the end of the second test against New Zealand in mid-June. Root hasn't faced any, Bairstow hasn't faced any, Lawrence hasn't faced any, and Butler hasn't faced any.
Jesus, that's pretty poor, isn't it? Left alone outside the off stump by Broady, through the keeper, and there's no run. Has Broady faced any?
Probably not. And in fact, with Butler, I think that goes back. Does that not go back to
India, probably?
To the first test in India, in fact,
Probably.
because he then sat out 3 test matches in India, or flew home, put it that way, and he was injured, wasn't he, for the for the New Zealand series.
He was
And I
either-
don't think he's played a county championship match for Lancashire. So he won't have played a red ball since the first test in India.
Jay has also sussed out Butler.
Oh right, in what way?
He says he can't function if there is no blood moon. Jay's got it all worked out.
Of course, he has.
He should work for the ECB.
Well, he should be in the backroom team, shouldn't he? Really?
Well,
most
really,
definitely.
I had an interesting chat with what's his name, Adam Collins the other day.
All right. Are you going to share that with us?
Yeah, I am going to share it with you. Bumrah around the wicket, it goes away again in the air a bit from Sam Curran. It's pretty full though, and he gets behind it, defends it in the offside. There's no one. He said that the ECB is actually in a complete state because of the pandemic and stuff. They've shed a hell of a lot of staff, and it's like headless chickens, and departments are separated from other departments and stuff like that.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
But it's the reasoning. Presumably, I mean, the pandemic has obviously had a big effect on the staffing, I presume.
Yeah, massively.
Can't cope.
Yeah, they just can't cope. They don't know what they're doing either, it sounds like. Bumrah, again, full, and Curran doesn't really have to move his feet as it virtually lands on them. He just sticks the bat in a way and defends it out to cover, and there's no run.
Well, I think someone was talking, or an article I read yesterday was talking about, there's an enormous amount of pressure on players because they have to play so much. But in organising all these tours and series, there has to be quite a bit of pressure on administrators. Not that there shouldn't be when they're paid £700,000 a year.
Well, yeah, exactly. But they should be able to administer the game in such a way that it's actually beneficial to the game rather than non-beneficial. And especially to your premier event throughout the summer. That's horrible all down the leg side by Bumrah. Gets it wrong that time. Doesn't swing in the air. Goes down Curran's arse and through the pant, no run.
Yeah. I mean, having read the response to the Cricket Supporters Association from the guy within the ECB about the 100 and its meaning and what its purpose is, I have some sympathy with it to a certain extent, and that's not the only reason that England are bad at Test cricket batting at the moment.
No, it's not. Bumrah again, that goes down the legs. Might have clipped the pads. Might have just missed the pads. Might have clipped the pads. It goes through the pant anyway, down Curran's backside. Through the pant, there's no run.
I mean, you look at someone like Dan Lawrence today. You get an unlucky dismissal in the middle of a few dismissals, and that just makes things worse, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Derek Willis says, to be fair, 155 is a pretty good score for the 100.
It'll take about 5 times as long though. Here comes Bumrah. That one's the in swinger, and it's driven by Curran. Not a great timing out towards the man sweeping on the cover boundary. It'll be a single.
And I think it's interesting. I mean, India obviously looked at Sam Curran. I mean, he was man of the series when they were last here in 2018, and they've seen a lot more of him, haven't they, in the IPL? Where he's been playing for Punjab initially, and then he moved to Dhoni's team, Chennai, and he's in there on 5 from 13 balls. And they got a man sweeping on the offside, taking one of the slips out, and put him back at third man for perhaps the uppercut or something like that. So. They've even got a leg gully now in for Broad. I mean, they've seen the way he hops about to the short ball.
Yep.
Also, a long leg and a deep square. So the sort of response of England to be trying to hit their way, well, they're not going to be able to hit their way out of trouble, but they might pick up a few useful runs. But even that is being sort of cut off for them by India.
Yeah, well, Bumrah's coming in. Last ball of his over around the wicket. It's full. That's out. That's as fucking plumb as plumb can be. Hitting right in front and middle and leg stump about 3 inches in front of it, in fact, because he was so deep in his crease. Broad can have no complaints about that, and he has to go too. Just a very full ball that's again shaping away, and Broad gets totally squared up, beats the outside edge of his back, clatters into his shins, literally about 6 inches in front of middle stump. He wasn't getting away with that one. 160 for 9. England in all sorts of trouble. Well, Jimmy will get a bowl tonight.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the only good point maybe that England can pick up 3 or 4 wickets tonight, but we will have to wait and see. I mean, it's brilliant bowling, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't expect Broad, who's averaging sort of 17 these days, to actually play deliveries like that when your top order batsmen have failed.
I mean,
to a certain
England
extent.
do have a serious problem with the batting department now. I mean, you'd only say the stick-on batsman is root, and Stokes is an all-rounder, but Stokes is, he's taking time out. Everyone else is reasonably new,
Yeah, and none of them have got the weight of runs behind them to feel any real confidence or real
absolutely
sense of solidity in the team.
No.
So they're always going out under pressure at the moment.
And Jimmy Anderson will
that's
be
part of the problem. Jimmy Anderson's coming
chuntering away underneath his hat, going, "You fucking."
Well, I suppose on the way out, he ought to probably run out and barge into Ravi Jadeja to take away the headlines from England's batting problems.
Well, he should do. Let's give him a jingle.
As you can see, we've had our eye on you for some time now, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
He only needs 1 or 2 wickets to equal Kumble, or overtake Kumble. It's 2, isn't it?
Is it? Is that
so.
right? He's on 617, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, I think Kumble ended on. Well, maybe Kumble ended on 619, I think. I don't know if I've got a number out the air or not, but I'm sure Knackle will rush through the door in a minute and say, no, it was this. But, yeah, he's not far behind, which will take him to 3rd on the all-time list. Behind just Murley and Warren. He's scratching out his guard. England 160 for 9. They only faced 60 overs. So nearly getting 3 and over, Endo, on the bright side.
Oh dear, it's going to be a long 6 weeks, isn't it, at this rate?
Well, England. Well, we started poorly again. I'm sure they'll have a big shouting out in the dressing rooms. That's Thacker beats the outside edge of Sam.
Yeah, but I don't think they did start that poorly. I mean, we're looking at tea. They were 138
for
3, literally just before tea. They have now collapsed. I mean, look at that. Lawrence, none. Butler, none. Robinson, none.
Yeah. 3 ducks.
Curran not out 6. Broad gone for 4. I mean, Johnny Bairstow's second top scorer at the moment.
Yeah.
And while those two were together, they were playing well.
Yeah, they were. Maybe you have to say it's good bowling then.
I think it is.
It is good bowling. Well, Sammy Curran's decided there's no point hanging about. He's come down the track. He's playing the IPL again. And smashed it over long on. It's the first one of these. And maybe the only one we'll see for a while. It's 6 runs. He's just got to do this for a couple of overs till he's out, isn't he? No point. Jimmy's not going to last long.
He's trying to get the second highest run scorer in the team.
I presume though that they'll start sending players back.
Well, he'll just try and hit them over the top. He'll do.
Well, I suppose so. Yeah. Fair enough.
Rizbar Pant.
Sorry.
He'll do a Rizbar Pant and just go mental. Just hit it into the stands.
Yeah, but you haven't got a lot of confidence in Jimmy Anderson surviving at the other end. In fact, I mean, Bumrah looked like he might get Curran out every ball in that previous over, to be honest.
Yeah, totally. So make hay while the sun shines at the other end, really, I guess.
Yeah.
Oxymoronica reckons this is a ploy by the ECB to make the England Test side so shite that cricket lovers will be forced to watch the 100 in sheer desperation.
Well, they're doing that very well. It's working very well for them if that is their cunning plan. But, it remains to be seen how bad England have to get before people stop going to Test matches in this country. I guess if you're paying 120 quid to see England, slaughtered in 3 days, it might wear off the interest.
Yeah, but this is one of the other things that comes around because of all the short form cricket. So that's defended by Curran up to the mid-off, and there's no run. Inconsistency is part of the game. You can be really crap one day, and then the next game you come out and someone gets a blistering first inning score and sets the entire game up, and that's it as well. I kind of like it. I've got to say, in a funny kind of way, I don't like watching England lose, but I like the fact that teams go up and down like yo-yos. because it means that, unless the conditions are so stacked against you like they were in India, and even then it was quite exciting, as that's defended into the offside by Curran, and there is no run. I mean, as I maintain, that India series was won by about 3 innings, basically.
Yeah, Rohit's in the
and everyone else,
second test, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and then everyone else pretty much struggled for the entire series. Someone got a decent innings in generally the first innings of the test match. Pant got one in the second innings of the last test or whatever it was, but there wasn't, there was a lot of low scores.
Well, if you think that Root ended up with one in one innings with figures of 5 for 8, tells you something, doesn't it?
Exactly. Doesn't it just? Shardul Thakur is in. Heaved at. I thought it was, the TV was showing me to come back towards me, but it wasn't. It had gone through Curran, missed the stumps, and went through the Pant. There's no run.
But I think England are in a bit of a slump. India away is difficult. What did England get in that first innings? Was it 500 odd when Root got his double 100? But after that, there were a couple of times they didn't even get into 3 figures, weren't there? Or certainly very low 3 figures.
There was a test match over in 2 days for crying out loud.
Well, pretty much, yeah. So, and with the performances against New Zealand, especially in that second test after tea on the 3rd day.
Yeah.
Well,
poor England. I've been watching cricket for how many years? Pulled by Sammy Curran. I think it's not going to make it to the boundary. It must have mistimed it. Probably went aerial for a while, but the cameraman didn't pick it up. But it dribbled out to the man at deep mid wicket, and he got back forward. He got
through for a single and kept the strike, which is good.
The strike was a sensible thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Let me do some tweets.
Yes.
Warren and Chris are both wondering what the hell is going on. Jay Grover thinks Modi should be head of the ECB. Ravi says this is true. I think to you, Hendo, about his disdain for county cricket.
Yes.
Let's see. Jeff Perkins says, does the ECB consider Test cricket to be their main event this summer, though? I don't.
Well,
we don't know.
It should be the pinnacle of the summer, this Test series.
Peter Lloyd says, you're right, Bear. 2 to equal Kumbale, 3 to beat.
Okay.
O'Neill Harris loves our Anderson jingle. And Warren wonders, any news on the status of Folkes? Will he slip down the bottom 2 rungs of his stairs at home, I think?
Folkes or Wokes?
Oh, sorry.
Folkes did slip and missed those tests agast New Zealand, didn't he?
Yeah, he tore a hamstring.
Oh, I don't know. No, it's Wokes who slipped down the stairs, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Folkes is now haven't got a chance as Butler's back. That's the way it goes. Jasper in, and again swinging away from Curran. It's full, and he just lets that one through to Pant, and there is no run.
Bitan Bajaj has joined us. Well, what do we have here? India seem to be on the top, but then again, this is the same ground. Jimmy scored 81 versus India. I'm sure lightning will strike again.
Bring back that pitch.
Yeah.
Bring back that pitch of rolled snot. We demand it.
Yeah, that pitch was dreadful.
Mind you, Mohammed Shami and Boovi also got 50s in that game.
Exactly.
Awful game.
Jasprit Bumrah is in and left alone by Curran. He doesn't move his feet, just lifts his hands. Goes through the Pant, no run.
What a fun fact from Lear.
On then.
Bangladesh have never lost a bilateral T20 international to Australia.
Really? Hardly played them, have they?
That's what she says.
I know they got their first win against Australia, wasn't it, yesterday or the day before?
Oh, maybe this is they've only played 2 and 1-2.
Maybe this is the first time they played a bilateral series.
Well, Australia cancelled a whole load of series, didn't they, for Bangladesh, constantly, about two cycles in a row, didn't they? They were supposed to play.
England have just done that, haven't they?
Yeah, Bangladesh have just beaten Australia again. I think that's why we've got that tweet.
Bumrah around the wicket once more. Again, full and swinging away from Curran. I think he's getting used to that one now. And he's left it through the Pant, no run.
Yeah, the danger one's going to be that vicious late in-swinger.
Well, exactly.
That's right up there, isn't it, now to him? But he hasn't quite got that right yet.
Nope.
He's got it to move, but he hasn't got it to start in the right area.
We're going to have a change at the end of this over. That's gone quickly, not half an hour, hasn't it?
It has, isn't it?
I'll be back. Knackle's going to take over from me. I don't know if he's doing ball by ball.
No, it's Fred, I think.
It's Fred, and I'll be back in half an hour. That is defended back up the track by Sammy Curran. No run, 2 balls left in the over. I don't know, Hendo. You've got to wait until both sides bowl. If England get the same overheads, we've got bowlers that can do similar sort of damage. The question is, are India as flaky. And you look at India's bottom four, at least, well, Ollie Robinson didn't get runs, but he can bat. Curran can bat. Obviously, Butler's at 7. I suppose that'd be the equivalent of Jadeja.
Yeah, there are some players. There are players in that. Rahani's not got a great record in England.
Defended by Sam Curran, out to cover, and there's no run.
I think he's only averaging 29, Rahane, in England.
And you got debutant opening.
Sorry?
We got debutant opening. You got Rohit.
No, what are you talking about debutant opening?
Oh, sorry. No, I thought that Esawaran dude was playing.
No, it's Rahul.
No, it's KL Rahul, who hasn't got a great reputation. He's got 100 odd in his last innings, but he had a torrid time here last time as well, didn't he? Doesn't like the shaping away ball.
Well, he wasn't torrid here. I mean, he got that 100 at the Oval, didn't he? I mean, he's had a torrid time since, I would say.
Bumrah full and clipped by Curran out to mid-wicket. He'll get himself a single and retain the strike. Good lad.
Well done. Excellent
We're out
stuff.
of here.
We are. Handing over to Fred after Nestle does a couple more.
No, Nestle's gone. So thank you for that spell. You managed to completely decimate England's first innings. So well done to Hendo, Bear and Nestlers. 168 for 9 off 62 overs. Anderson yet to score. In fact, yet to face a ball. And Sam Curran has 14 of 25 deliveries. Who's coming back in? Is it Knackle?
Hello. You're actually commentating on the last ball of Bumrah's over because it was a no ball.
31 for 5 England are effectively then. Since tea, 31 for 5.
In the 10 overs between the last over before tea and Sam Curran 6, 23 for 6. In 10 overs.
Well, it's the last ball of Hendo's spell, and that's an outswinger, which Anderson is beaten by. It doesn't get anywhere close to, so it is the actual end of the 62nd over. 169 for 9. Good afternoon, gentlemen, again.
Hello. Nitin Bajaj says, should have played 4 bowlers and Hanuma Vihari. This will be another of those low-scoring games. Well, I mean, Jadeja's been averaging 50 in the last couple of years, so you're not losing a great deal with the bat. Mohammad Rizwan, presumably not the Pakistan wicket-keeper, says, nice route. And he was playing extremely well until he played all around that Shardul Thakur delivery. And let's see what we've got on YouTube. Satan by name says, disappointing total. How many will India make in your opinion?
Double that.
I've no idea.
I would say close to 300 is my estimate. My guess, first guess for India.
Well,
obviously,
Thakur
you'll see.
Thakur is starting a new over. There are some fielders out as Curran's looking to hit the ball, and he's driven this pretty sweetly, but picked out the man at cover. So that's Che Pujari. Can't get a run. Yes, it's obviously England would have liked more runs, but is anyone surprised at this score? I'm not entirely sure there are. This is a particularly flaky England batting lineup, has been for a while. I don't think you could ask questions about the place in the team of anybody except Root. And the second best bowler not available, as this one is guided down behind square on the offside by Curran, decides not to take the single and expose Anderson to Thakur this early in the over. So it's a dot ball. A flaky batting lineup where nobody is particularly secure, for the good reason that they're not scoring very many runs other than Root. Stokes, the best or second best batsman in the lineup, is not available. So, and added to, as I've been saying, the fact that nobody's had any red ball practice coming into this series, it's not really a surprise as Thakur comes in and bowls to Sam Curran. It's full, and he's hit this out towards cow corner and possibly over cow corner. I think just a couple of bounces. It crosses the boundary. 4 runs. He's a clean striker of the ball, Curran, and I'm not saying this is going to give a lot to the Indian skipper to think about, but in what might be a low-scoring game, a quick 30 runs can make a big difference to the overall scenario.
And India saw this coming. They put the sort of in-out field as soon as Curran came in. They know what he's trying to do. This is exactly what he did in 2018 and did so to great effect.
You would have thought mid-wicket would be one of the first places they'd go to, if you as one of the outs. But there is a fielder out there, but he's squarer as Thakur is going to come in again and bowls a full toss outside the off. And this is literally the rock paper scissors towards the end of a limited overs game. It's a full toss outside the off stump, and it's just played up to mid off by Curran. No run. How many balls? There's 4 balls gone. I think they would take the single now if offered. Anderson's batting. I think for a while he gone the. Did he hold the record at one point for the most number of innings without a duck? And then proceeded to get a load of ducks in a short space of time. But I think at the start of his career he'd not got a duck for a while as Thakur bowls, and this is his hit. Look, is it gone over the slip down to third man? It bounces just in front of him. A man running in from deep third man. They are going to take the single to leave Anderson with 1 ball to face. Well, he tried to hit that straight, I think, and he's got a loopy outside edge. It went down in the air. It was in the air for quite a long time. The man running in from the third man boundary couldn't quite get there, so just a single to Curran.
I wonder if that was a dropped catch.
I think it landed in front of him.
I had a feeling he might just have got there.
Oh no, that's short.
You're right, Fred.
Always right, Tony. Except when I'm not. The 1 ball for Anderson to keep out if he can. And Thakur, who's got 2 for 41, and he's looked good actually. He looks to have to bowl at the right sort of pace to get swing and seam in English conditions. And he could prove a handful, although he probably wouldn't have played in this team had Ishant Sharma been available. He's in now, bowls to Anderson's too short a delivery. Anderson defends on the back foot. The end of the over, 174 for 9. What are people saying, Knuckle?
On another topic, Nitin Bajaj says, are you guys as worried as me about the future of Afghan cricket on the ground right now, given what we know about the lot about to take power in the country? I know Afghanistan are based in Sharjah. I think they have offices in Sharjah, but I don't know a great deal about the lot about to take over.
Well, if we did have worries about Afghanistan, it wouldn't necessarily be about the cricket.
Pirate Badshah's Concrete Barge says, on all the excuses for England's performances, can you not just accept being mediocre?
Well, I think they'd take mediocre at this point. It's probably worse than that. I don't want to sound all hendo, but again, I don't think this is a major surprise to people who've been watching a lot of England cricket over the last couple of years. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to score runs at some point in the series. But I imagine we're going to see probably 9 different England top order players play in this series as Curran faces up to Bumrah. He makes some room and he drives this, doesn't time it. It goes to a deepish mid-on who's offering the single, but none is taken. Tony, here's a question for you. Which completely out of left field player is going to be in this England side by the end of the series that no one has possibly considered due to injuries and lack of form?
Gubbins, doing well for Hampshire. I'm thinking of my Middlesex players.
If you're thinking of Middlesex players, that would be really out of left field, I will say.
Well, yeah, that is probably true. Who else is rattling up runs at the moment in... nobody.
Full and straight delivery, which Curran defends.
No one's got any current form because there's no cricket being played to them to have current form in.
Exactly, and I haven't examined the schedules, but I don't think first-class cricket starts in England till
30th of October.
The last few days of August.
30th of August, I think.
By which point, I think 4 tests will have been complete. So there's no opportunity for anybody to state their case. It's just going to be a matter of...
I mean, it may hasten Hamid's arrival if Sibley's fails in the second innings.
There are 2 tests after the start of the county championship.
Yeah, but they won't have time to score. This one is down the leg side. I think there may have been a little bit of thigh pad on that. Pant dives away to his right and stops a chance of any either leg buys or buys.
4th test starts on the 2nd of September.
When's the penultimate test start?
4th test starts on the 2nd of September.
Yeah, so those games will. I mean, by the time the teams pick, those games will not. The county championship games won't be able to have any effect on the selection. But it's possible we might see wholesale changes, perhaps in the manner of a 1980s England team.
And the 90s was pretty famous.
And
for
the
that as well,
90s,
wasn't it?
yes. As Bumrah's in again, and Curran tries to leave and middles it on the ground to second slip. Or down to third man, but doesn't take a single because it's too early in the over.
Which leaves him really having to hit boundaries and a single off the last ball of the over.
Well, they can try and hit boundaries all the way through the over if their ball is there for it. But the single,
or twos, I suppose you could argue he can work twos, providing he keeps the strike and Jimmy is protected.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another school of thought that says don't tire Jimmy out.
Oh,
get him out there. Get him out there and bowling.
Not sure about
A
that.
dart at them tonight is probably better than tomorrow morning.
Well, I don't know. If it is to be a low-scoring game, all runs are important. It's a full toss by Bumrah. It was about groin height, and it was driven to extra cover by Curran. A good falling stop by a bloke with sunglasses.
We've got nearly an hour and 20 minutes left. I don't think that, of all of England's many problems today, I don't think James Anderson not getting enough of a bowl today will be one of them. Curran or Anderson are going to get out at some point fairly soon.
Yeah, as you join us, England have declared at 583 for 9, with Curran on and Anderson having put on 400. That's a shock to any Indian listeners who've just woken up. No, that's not the score. It's 174 for 9 as Bumrah bowls, and this is carved away through the offside by Curran. He's placed this well square out to deep point. There's nobody out there. It's 4 runs.
It's Nissan Shi. It's Nissan Shi.
But it was the last ball of the over, so Anderson will be facing the new one. What are the Twitter sphere saying?
Oh, let's see what the Twitter sphere are saying. Farong says, back to Test cricket after watching Bangladesh beat Australia again. Excellent bowling by India or poor batting by England or a mixture of the two. Can England get through the Indian top order before stumps? Kind of always a
questions.
So it's always a mixture of the two, isn't it?
Stay with us and find out the answer to those questions.
Jay Grover says, bets on Anderson reverse sweep.
Oh, not off Bumrah, I wouldn't have thought.
Nor off this bowler who's about
Nor
to
off
come back
Shami.
into the attack, who's bowled brilliantly today.
He's coming down fast and moving it too. Tell me the answer. He may be a bowler, but he's often injured.
Well, he's into Anderson and he tries an airy drive outside the off stump, misses the ball completely. Yes, he has bowled really well today, and in terms of raw skill, you might say that this Indian attack is actually better than the England attack. I mean, England obviously have the advantage of being, more
of 1,000
aware of the conditions,
of
and having more
1,100
experience
test
of the
wickets between
conditions,
Anderson and Broad,
and having more experience, all told, with the vast numbers of wickets that Broad and Anderson have taken. But in terms of raw skill, you wouldn't say that man for man, India's bowling attack is significantly worse than England, as Shami is into Anderson again, and he's turned this quite well. He timed it quite nicely, but he's picked out the man at short mid on, not allowing him a single.
Ollie Robinson's a very skillful bowler.
He is, certainly in English conditions. But, you look at the 4 seamers that India have got, and, it's a very, very fine attack.
Yeah, and Thakur is probably the least skillful or high prominent of the 6 fast bowlers India have in the squad. He's in, because he can swing the ball, and also because he's the only one who can bat a bit. As a young boy in the crowd does manfully well or boyfully well to manage 4 ice creams at once.
This is a very short and a very wide delivery from Shami. It could almost have been called a wide. That's how wide it was. Yes, a guy with 3 ice cream cones.
3 or 4?
And
4. I think it's 4. Yes, 4.
And he's attacking all of them in turn, trying to stop that horrible bit when they start dripping all over you, I think. Unless he's bought the 4 for himself, in which case, you greedy bastard.
I'm not sure how social distancing works if you lick someone else's ice cream and hand it to them.
I'll have to check the regulations very carefully. 2 slips and a gully only for Shami bowling to Anderson. I think he expects to do the job himself. Full and straight, and an attempted drive by Anderson. It looked very sweet, but unfortunately he didn't actually hit the ball. Luckily for him, he didn't edge the ball either.
That's what's known as styling it out, isn't it?
Round the wicket to the left-hander, you're generally challenging the outside edge. Is James Anderson actually good enough to nick any of these?
Again, questions that we will shortly find the answer to. I think he should be attacking the stumps, really. Anderson gets out LBW and bowled a lot, even when he doesn't try and reverse sweep or good old-fashioned sweep. But there are 4 balls have been negotiated by Anderson somehow, and he'll be looking to play out this over. Shami in to bowl the 5th, and it's turned into the leg side. They're going to take just the 1. They're thinking of 2. Anderson's trying to keep the strike now. He's left Curran with 1 ball left of the over.
Very decent shot, very sweetly clipped into the leg side.
You're giving that shot an awful lot of credit, Tony.
Well, it was there for the shot. A bit. Put it this way, he's looked a damn sight more stylish than Butler did earlier in his innings. And Shami will complete the over to Sam Curran, who'll be looking to take a single. You would have thought. But if there's chance of there of sort of, if he thinks it's full, he might come down the wicket and try and hit it for 4 or 6, because runs are important. So Cody's got something to think about. That sounds. That's not a slogan for the 100, is it?
It is, yes. I'm afraid it is.
Right. Electric atmosphere here at Trent Bridge as Shami bowls, and Curran does try and hit this. He's hit this high in the air over point, and it's dribbling, but it does get to the boundary, so a complete reverse of the normal situation. Anderson faced 5 balls to the over. Curran's hit the last one for 4. At the end of the 65th over, it's 183 for 9.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sam Curran thinking, well, if you're going to give me a boundary.
Well, they wanted to stop the single, didn't they?
Yeah. I think India will be quite happy buying Anderson's wicket at the price of a 4. A few comments on YouTube. CodeWeb says, too much rain, it will be a draw. Satan by name says, I thought we'd get around 250, which is also around what I think India will get. Let's hope these two can push it past 200. George McPherson says, yet another series that England will be cannon fodder at the hands of India. We will struggle without Stokes. Dara Azizi has a left field pick. Darren Stevens.
Yeah, that bobs up every time now.
George McPherson says, Silverwood needs to stop with all rotation. Is it bad enough we have some players that don't seem to score consistent runs? Not sure how those two parts of the sentence match up.
Who's being rotated?
Well, indeed.
Well, they have already announced that they are effectively stopping rotation. They have stopped rotation.
Well, I don't think anyone is in this. I don't think anyone has been rotated out of this team.
No,
there are
this team's a first choice team. Yeah, if you're not available, it's through.
It's not my first choice.
Falling down the stairs, first. Slipping over in the dressing room, or other reasons. But they're all.
Well, I don't think Folks or Wokes would necessarily have been in the final 11.
They'd have been in the squad.
I think Wokes might have been.
They might have, should have been. Oh, this is a beautiful delivery from Bumrah. Much too good for James Anderson. A ball swinging away, a full ball outside the off stump. He tries to turn it to the leg side, which is unwise.
That's kind of.
It may have saved him, actually.
I was just about to say, a top order batter's trying to play that through mid off or mid on, not mid wicket, and just the bat is, the tail ender trying to whip it through square legs, not going to get anywhere near the ball.
Yep, you play a straight bat that, and it might have hit the outside edge. We are in total agreement.
Satan by name says,
so often.
England always crap at batting in the first innings of a home series. Dara Azizi says, especially when Wokes is playing.
He isn't.
Wokes and Darren Stevens opening the bowling for England.
Fun times ahead. Bumrah bowls again. This time he does attack the stumps. It's a full ball on leg stump, and Anderson does well to get the meat of the bat on that. Plays it up to mid-on.
Eco Stevens says, could not Fred start lying about the score again? I prefer his fantasy to reality.
Well, I think the chance of Jimmy beating his 81 here from 2014 are statistically 0.
Yes, fair to say the conditions are rather less batting friendly than they were in that test match.
Was he at number 11 in that test match?
Yep.
And what did they put? Who did he bat with? I'm trying to remember.
Root broke the record for the highest 11th wicket partnership in Test history.
10th wicket. Yeah.
How's that missed?
This is an LBW appeal which has to be out. It was full. It was an in-swinging Yorker. It was much too good for Jimmy Anderson. It's been given out. He has to review it because they've got a review. But I can't see any grounds on which that's going to be overturned. That was comprehensively. I thought he was comprehensively bowled, but he was comprehensively LBW, if such a thing exists.
Not swing though. I mean, the amount of in-swing he got on that is worth having a look at that. He cuts the fingers across it, and
it's hit him on the front toe. It could theoretically.
Doesn't matter. They've not reviewed.
Well, how can they not have reviewed that? Why would you not review that?
I agree. I think it's out, but I agree that you would. Why wouldn't you bother Why wouldn't you bother reviewing it just in
That's
case?
just crass. They do have reviews left. I think they may have discovered this at some point.
They've got 3 reviews left. They've not actually used
Yeah.
one.
Well, at some point, as they were walking off, somebody said, "Hang on a sec, we've got a review left, and we are going to review it." But it looked like Cody was already in the dressing room. But the formalities have to be gone through.
Cody's been off for a couple of overs.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
He hadn't legged it up.
No, I thought he'd got so far. He was.
Virat
unlike him,
Kohli's
he tried to
quick,
get some
but he's
more
not
camera
that.
time.
Virat Kohli's quick, but he's not that quick.
Well, let's go through the formalities of seeing Hawkeye tell us that this is out. It's hit it. Well, it could have been a bit leggy.
Oh.
It's missing. It's missing the stumps, and the 500's still on. Well, for a while it looked like they weren't going to review that. They remembered to review it, and it was a successful review. So umpire, is that Goff?
Yep.
Kettleborough, isn't it? Oh no, it's Goff. Yeah.
Goff, you've made an absolute howler. The man who didn't have anything overturned for a couple of years has got that one wrong. Oh dear.
It's just caught up in the general mood, Fred. If it's England, it must be out.
Well, sometimes number 11s do get shocking decisions. I don't think that was a shocking decision. It looked like it was pretty out. But as I looked at it again, I thought maybe a bit leggish. And it only needed to be clipping to be upheld, but it wasn't clipping, according to Hawkeye. So Anderson has to start his innings all over again. He's getting the right headspace as he faces up to Bumrah, who will be a little bit annoyed, I would have thought, as he comes in and bowls and absolutely cleans him up with an in-swinging Yorker, takes his off-stump out. All that did was delay us about a minute and a half. England's innings is complete, 183 all out in 65.4 overs. And, I think we can agree, Tony, it's a below par score, but how many below par would you suggest?
Having what we've seen today, and the way England, when they started and got going, when Root and Bairstow, for example, were going, even Crawley, remember, was looking reasonably in tidy order. 250, 260. That's still got 183 is a long way short of 250 or 260.
It is. And I think I agree with you that 250 plus is a par score, but again, we don't know until both teams have batted twice. What are people saying on interwebs?
I'm sure we'll have a lot of people talking about the reviews in just a second, just catching up with all of that. PJ Mead says, bit rubbish this, isn't it? Test Lover says in a comment that's now 3 minutes out of date, Curran again, thorn in the flesh. When will he get over the obsession with India? Farong says, perhaps a new theme for the 100, Coddywampling, and he attaches an etymology, or a dictionary entry rather. Coddywample, verb, to travel purposefully towards an as-yet unknown destination. Dave Wood says, other slogans from the Carter says, nobody has an effing clue. Who is Matt Carter, and how can I mute Michael Vaughan? Jay Grover says, statistically 0, so you mean there is a chance? Oh, no bother. Nitin Bajaj says Hawkeye got that wrong that was out. I'm not quite sure what he means by that. I think he's confused by the fact it hit the front pad first and then went on to the back pad and sort of deflect.
Which one?
It
hit his front foot. It hit his toe.
Oh, his toe rather. So on that line, it was because the toe was further to leg side. It was missing. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Jay Grover says, "Hooray! Come on, the lads, score some effing goals." Bother again. And on YouTube, Dara Azizi says, great innings from Curran. Yes, third highest scorer in the game. Eco Stevens says, continuing with the speculative fiction, if Doctor Who replaced England's openers with Daleks, could they score more with their tiny little suckers? Actually, the openers, well, I mean, Burns got a good ball early, but Dom Sibley, I think, batted for the longest of any of England's batters apart from Root.
I think the Daleks would struggle to get quick runs between the wickets, and they used to move in a quite stately fashion.
Well, also, apart from the later models, they'd struggle to get down the pavilion stairs.
You beat me to it. I was about to say they'd struggle to get down the stairs.
I'm pretty sure now, building
now.
regulations, I mean that there is a ramp somewhere.
That's true.
Or they could just have the those dugouts that they use for T20s. They could sit there at the side.
Well, indeed, yeah.
Pick people off in the crowd and exterminate them. Right, so we are going to see presumably about an hour of England bowling at India, and
do you want to go through the scorecard, Fred?
Pardon?
Do you want to? Does one of you want to go through the scorecard?
I can go through the scorecard, and it is as follows. The first man to go this morning, very early on, 5th ball of the day, was Rory Burns, LBW to Bumrah. For a duck, Zach Crawley, the next man to go. He looked reasonable before being caught behind off Mohammed Siraj. It needed a review after having not been given out, but then it was overturned on review. Then Dom Sibley, who, as you say, batted for 70 balls, making 18. He was 18 not out at lunch, which was first time for a very long time that somebody had batted for England through a completed session and scored that few runs. But he was then caught by Rahul off Mohammed Shami. He just flicked it in the air to the man at mid-wicket, just after Gary Naylor had been talking about how he can't find the gaps in the leg side. Johnny Bairstow gutted it out, it's fair to say. He didn't look in any sort of nick when he first came in, but slowly but surely he was finding a little bit of timing and form before being LBW to a... Well, he was pinned on the back pad by Mohammed Shami, straight in front of leg stump, and was given out LBW. Dan Lawrence came and went very quickly, bemusedly nicking one down the leg side, a comfortable catch for Pant. Joe Root was then LBW to Thakur. It looked very plump, and it was plump. Before that, Joss Butler had batted for 18 balls. He didn't score any runs, and every ball he batted made his innings look even worse. It was quite astonishing, really. Then Ollie Robinson came and went within 3 balls, caught by Mohammed Sharif off tackle for no score. Stuart Broad started with a lovely boundary. Only lasted 2 more balls before being LBW to Bumrah. Stop me if you've heard this before. And then Anderson and Curran put on a few runs for the last wicket, 23 in fact, before James Anderson, having survived a belated review for LBW, the previous delivery was then cleaned up by an in-swinging Yorker by Bumrah, leaving Sam Curran 27 not out of 37 balls with 4 fours and a 6. So just run through the bowling figures. Bumrah 20.4 overs, 4 maidens, 4 for 46. Mohammed Shami, perhaps the pick of the bowlers, 17 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 28. Mohammed Siraj, not quite as accurate as the other bowlers, 12 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 48. Shardul Thakur was quite impressive. I haven't seen very much. 13 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 41. Just the 3 overs from Ravi Jadeja for 11 runs. So England all out for 183, and we'll have, as I say, about an hour's bowling at India this evening, which is a decent spell for Broad and Anderson, and for somebody to come on, possibly, for all 4 bowlers to have a go, and let's see what they can do. They could make some inroads into the India attack. On the other hand, if India get through the session without losing a wicket, they will feel in a hugely strong position. Tony?
I'm just wondering why we're having to watch the Phoenix and the Invincibles.
I don't know what that means.
Well, it's the ladies' game from Edgbaston, which kicks off at 7, of course. So,
of course,
the ECB can happily get back to their comfort zone after a traumatic day of
I'm sure
hard
the atmosphere
cricket
will be electric.
It'll be
a
electric.
sellout.
It'll be a sellout.
Give away tickets out, whatever the
give away tickets out. It will, and no one will dare mention the direct impact on the debacle we've just seen of the fact that no one's had any cricket to play.
Bit early to call it a direct impact, but honestly, you get the feeling that even had this England batting lineup, come into this game off the back of 4 county championship games, they still may not have got that many more. I say it's a contributory factor, but I don't think it's the underlying cause of England being rolled out for 180.
The signs were there against New Zealand, I think, is what.
Oh yeah, and they've been there for a couple of years.
Saying.
It's a very fickle top order, and as I say, Burns, Sibley, Crawley, Lawrence. Under normal circumstances, with the amount of runs they scored, there'd be questions against all of them. And Bairstow, certainly, yeah. So
I think we're due a change. It's going to be Hendo, Nestlers and Bear to see if England can somehow claw their way back into this contest.
Well, thanks, Tony. Yes, England bowled out in the end for 183. There were some moments of humour out there, really, weren't there? I mean, that final wicket of Jimmy Anderson, he survived the LBW review and then just got another ball, even better, perhaps, that cleaned him up. Reminded me of a time when Darren Gough was bowling at his pomp at Edgbaston, and Australia collapsed to a really low score, I think, in the first innings, and I think he got one of the wars out, and it was a no ball, and he just produced the same again the next ball and sent him back. Great moments, I think, for a bowler when that sort of thing happens.
Gallows humour, I think, more than...
Gallows humour, yeah, there's a bit of gallows humour around today, I have to say. In the battle between the 100 and the 183. How many balls did England bat for in the end?
Let me just get a scorecard up and I should tell you.
We've got plenty of overs left tonight. So
65.4 overs they batted for.
65 overs, so with you add
274 balls.
I mean, still over 20 overs to go, aren't there? We're not going to get 20 overs, obviously, in an hour. We might get 12, 13, something like that. There are no spinners to bowl, really, and I don't suppose that they're going to use Root, or Root's going to use himself this evening, so we're going to see seam and swing, I would imagine.
Got a request from Jay.
Go on then.
Bear, please say Callow batting lineup.
Callow batting lineup. It's definitely a Callow batting lineup, Joe.
Is that part of the Bear bingo?
Probably.
You fucking muppet.
Well, there's a lot of fucking muppets out there. The GPL's in play massively, isn't it?
Yes, 19 entries, I believe, today. Can you give us some numbers?
203, 213, 223, 226, 223, 233.
Hang on, can you slow down? I'm trying to write these down. 203.
I could just take a screenshot and put it up there for you.
All right then. Yeah, do that. That'd be easier, wouldn't it?
It goes from 203 to 327.
I was trying to write it in our little chat.
To write it down on some parchment paper.
I was. I had my quill ready. I was using my best Geoffrey Rush posh voice, and we'd have been away. Well, England and India are back out there, and England need wickets. That's as simple as that, isn't it? They need 3 tonight, don't they? Or a couple at least. And you wouldn't bet against them getting it when you've got bowlers of the calibre of Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad and Ollie Robinson, who we liked what we saw in a cricketing sense at Lord's.
I would like to see a bit of carnage.
Yeah. Although I do like games of cricket that last 5 days. If you're going to put aside 5 days for cricket, then make it last 5 days. I hate these early finishes. And it means we get less money. Anyway, it's Rohit Sharma's going to face. He's out there with KL Rahul. We're going to get the first ball. We'll jingle him up after the first ball. It's going to be bowled by Jimmy Anderson. He's got 3 slips in the gully waiting, and is swinging onto the line of off stump. And Rohit Sharma drops forward and defends to extra cover. Let's get that jingling underway.
Let's have this one.
We'll do a Rohit in a minute because the next ball is about to be bowled. It's Jimmy Anderson running in, bowls. He finds the outside edge, but that's skewed away past Gully's outstretched hand and down to third man for one of these.
Oh dear. Sorry.
It's me, Sanshi. It's me, Sanshi.
It's a gloriously shiny, dark red cherry that Jimmy Anderson has in his hands, and he might be encouraged to have found the outside edge. He won't be happy that ran away to the unguarded territory around third man for 4 runs, but hopeful. The gully's quite fine. There's not a huge gap between slip and gully, and Anderson is in again, and he's swinging this one from mid and leg, straightening it really, and Rohit this time plays into the onside, and there is no run. Yes, so we're going to get a screenshot and see where we are with the GPL. The Gorilla Prediction League, if you're not familiar.
I'll just send you an email.
You can bet on, or estimate on each day for extraordinary winnings. Anderson in again to Sharma. He starts this one a little bit wider. It does swing, but this time the Indian batsman is able to judge it and leave it. And through, for the first time, it goes to the wicketkeeper.
Well, Madan Mohan Sharma says Indian bowlers have done their job. Now it's time for the batsmen to show their ability. India must score 350 or more.
Well, yes. I mean, I think a lot's going to be about the conditions, isn't it? Really, and how much play we get tomorrow and Friday with rain forecast. Anderson in, bowls comfortably defended this time by Rowett, square on the offside, and there is no run.
Silver Humber says, right, help please.
Help?
Spouse follows the 100. I get to disapprove at the TV from across the room. I hate the confusing graphics that I can't read anyway without going to get my glasses. The 100 makes me grumpy and old. Is there a cure without divorce?
No, I've actually been advising people on divorce today. I think it was James Humberston who said he was going to have to leave us. He was going to have to leave us because his wife had come in and doesn't like cricket. So I did suggest a divorce. Anderson again, movement away from the right-hander, but in no sense dangerous. Left alone at the end of the first over. India off 4 for no wicket.
And Dave Wood wonders. Dave Wood wonders. Do any of the actual Muppets qualify for England? Jeff Perkins wonders, is that Callow's humour?
Could be.
Well, Tony Bish is not on, so we've got Jeff to do the dad jokes.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to look at the rundown of the GPL, and I think that probably an outside guess, maybe El Presidente has a chance with 236. Messi Jez is on 233, 223, 213 and 203. He has a lot of chances. And Matthew Cullen is on 226. The others beyond that, I don't think are going to be in the race. Stuart Broad is going to bowl.
Okay. Wow, and he has a jingle. God, that took me so much longer than I thought it would do. Like this.
What would make Broad walk?
If his stumps were knocked down,
What would make Broad walk?
caught 5 feet off the ground,
What would make Broad walk?
if he trod on his
What would
stumps,
make Broad walk?
if God was one of the
What
arms,
would make Broad walk?
Broad walk.
What Broad?
Bowls first ball to KL Rowell, who's in behind that one, plays it very comfortably and very confidently square on the offside, and there is no run. Stuart Broad was absolutely magnificent last summer, wasn't he? We need a bit more of that from an England perspective. I think he averaged something quite ridiculous against West Indies and Pakistan. Was it 10 and 16? He ended up averaging against those two sides in the bubble last year. Here is Broad again, running in, bowls outside the off stump. Certain amount of lift, not really any swing for him there. So Raoul lets it pass. We got 4 slips rather than 3 slips in the gully, it looks to me. So slight difference from what Jimmy Anderson had. Not a great deal though.
On the GPL, Harry Axon says, tell the Indian batsman to get some sixes. The first time I've done the GPL and a tad too high. Harriet, are you mad woman?
I think you're going to be. I think
On
if you are mad
291.
woman, you've done it properly. You've been properly mad. 291. You would why not in a day's cricket? Broad in again, and once more Rowell leaves outside the off stump. Lets the ball go through to Butler. The most optimistic of our guesses today was Nuevo, who went for 287, 307 and 327. If it ends up being 327, this is going to be a magnificent final hour, just from the entertainment's perspective. Not very good for England, but certainly it would be entertaining.
It would turn into the IPL, the best IPL innings ever.
Well, it would, yes. Well, we've seen that Rowett is a quick scorer in any form of the game. Outside the off stump, too wide. The swing comes late after it's past the batsman. Well controlled though by Butler in taking that. And again, there is no run. Must be a bit cool out there now. Raoul's got his sleeveless sweater on. We started in, I wouldn't say glorious sunshine this morning, but it certainly was sunny. And it seems to have got progressively gloomier. Not just England's innings, but the weather. It's matched. The two have matched each other. Broad places his fingers on the seam and runs in. Bowls to Raoul. Raoul is forward. Confident shot. Steering it out into the covers. I think that's Johnny Bairstow in pursuit. They will get back for a second. They might even go for a third. They will. The throw comes into the bowler's end, but Raoul is there comfortably. And India move on to 7 for no wicket. This is looking ominous for England.
Jay says, oh no, not the bingo, but Bear said it once, callow, and then repeated it 6 times in an hour. He'd never used the word before, or has ever since. He just sounded so happy saying it for 60 minutes.
What the Bear's like with a new word? This is like a new toy for him.
Yeah, he likes to play with it.
To play it and feel it and look at it from all sorts of angles. 7 for no wicket. Floodlights are on. The sky is gloomy. Will we in fact get through? Will the natural light lose out to the floodlights? This is left alone outside the off stump by Rowett. First ball he's received from Broad, and that is the end of the second over. India are 7 for no wicket.
Brian Barish wonders, isn't there at least one member of Dr. Teeth's band who is British? I think that's in the Muppets. Blair says India's opening partnership already infinitely better than England's. Matthew Cullen's feeling good about his 226 GPL guess. Need India to get 43. Come on, lads.
Yeah, that's not a bad call, is it? It's not a bad call at all.
Harriet confirms that is her. Yes, completely bonkers. My nickname is MOB, the mad old bat.
Yeah, well, we all have to answer to strange names from time to time. Anderson's going to bowl his second over, and we're going to be saying this for about the next 10 overs, aren't we? England need a wicket. 3 slips in a gully, a fine gully. In comes Anderson, bowls to Rahul, and Rahul meets this nicely on the front foot and plays it square. Johnny Bairstow gets in the way of this one, hurls the ball into the wicket, and there is no run. Now, Rahul, I mean, you may not put too much emphasis on it, but I think Rahul got 100 in the warm-up against the County 11 at Durham a couple of weeks ago. Same match that Seeb got 100 for the County 11. Anderson in again, bowls. Oh, now that one starts to come back towards Rahul. There's a little bit of extra oomph in that delivery as well. And it's the first one that hasn't really swung away. It wobbled and then threatened to come in. Maybe didn't come in quite enough, but a little bit extra in that delivery from Anderson, I think. Joe Root is standing at first slip next to Joss Butler, joshing with his friend. Not jossing, but joshing. And Anderson is in again. This one moving away from the right-hander, but too short. And he leaves it alone quite easily. 7 for no wicket. If you're just joining us, we will be talking about the GPL in the next few minutes, because we've got one or two people who might win £142, and if you want the chance to win that sort of money for a £1 stake, don't forget to do the Gorilla Prediction League tomorrow. You have until lunch to do it, and we'll be reminding you about that first thing. In comes Anderson, bowls. That's a better ball. Oh, he's looking for a single, Rahul, as he pushes that into the offside. Johnny Bairstow swoops in. Rohit Sharma wasn't keen and sent him back. Rahul sort of his hands there. He's sort of saying, well, it was in a balance. There might have been a run there, and maybe you could have showed a bit more interest. But I think probably the right call from the more experienced of the two.
What?
Jersey Oak.
Doomed?
Yep.
We're doomed.
Of course. I'm sure we've had one of those today, haven't we? Anderson in again, bowls to Rahul. Rahul's looking comfortable. He goes onto the back foot and crafts a shot to a rather busy Johnny Bairstow at backward point. And again, there is no run.
Colin says, what will the new 100 followers think? Good total. Why are there so many fielders on when they miss the cut-off by miles? Will we get a result tonight?
I was thinking about that. That would be fun, wouldn't it? If they actually, that might be one of the good innovations of the 100. Although it doesn't go far enough. I mean, I thought originally that you lost a fielder for every 10 minutes that you went over, which I think would be fun. Anderson in, bowls. Rahul again showing he seems to have a lot of time to play at the moment, and guides it once more to Johnny Bairstow. There is no run. 3 overs bowled. India 7 for none.
There's definitely something in that with the loss of fielders. Exactly as you said, we all thought it was loss of fielders from the pitch, isn't it? But they just can't be outside the ring. But there's something to be said for that in Test cricket.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if you're 6 overs short for 6 overs the next day,
Yep.
You start with 2 less players on the field in the field until those 6 overs are done, and then you can have them back. Something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable idea, because nothing seems to stop players from stringing things out. Does it? Broad starts his second over, coming into Rohit Sharma. Rohit's beaten by a beauty. Good job he didn't touch it, because it's come flying out of Joss Butler's hands. It was an absolute corker, that, from Broad. It flew, it gathered pace, or appeared to gather pace. It was the leg cutter. Oh, that is what we like to see.
It's caught Butler right on the end of his thumb. I think that's going to be fucking painful. It's
going to hurt.
Yeah, that could have put him out for red ball cricket for another few test matches.
Johnny B can take over the gloves. It's fine.
Was it a no ball? It might have been a no ball, because it's.
No.
Or did they run through? Oh, they ran through for a bye.
Yeah, they ran through for a bye. Yeah.
Yeah, Rahul is facing, and Anderson. Broad is in. Again, Rahul wants a quick single as he drops it out into the offside. Again, Johnny Bairstow comes scuttling in, and again, Rohit Sharma says no. And
angry red-headed man running at you with the ball.
Yeah, that's kind of worrying, isn't it, for anyone? So 8 for no wicket.
It looks pretty dark there, mate.
Rohit just having a word with Rahul there, I think, coming down towards the middle of the pitch.
He's saying,
take it easy.
He's saying, forget the quick singles. I don't want to face, man. It's dark.
It could be that, couldn't it? Broad in once more. Bowls to Rahul leaves this a little bit too wide outside off stump. But Broad working up a pretty good head of pace, I would say.
Yep.
And I would say looking more dangerous than Jimmy at the moment. Jimmy just needs to find his mojo. He's probably a bit miserable about having to be out there tonight. Would have expected England to last maybe until lunch tomorrow at the very least. But he should know better, shouldn't he? He should know better.
Well, he should do. How many times he bowled on the first day after being
batting?
Exactly. Quite a few.
Broad in again. Once more, it seems to lift off the pitch more than a batsman would necessarily feel comfortable with. It's a little bit too wide to be really dangerous, and now Rahul is coming down and patting the pitch. If you're just joining us, England were bowled out for 183 after winning the toss and electing to bat on a pitch that's done something all day. Also, there's been swing around for most of the day, so it's actually, as they say, not a bad toss to lose from an Indian perspective. That said, they still had to bowl well, and they did really well. Broad chases in again, bowls to Rahul, who comes across his stumps and then throws the hands high in the air, the bat above his head, and through it goes to Butler. Any tweets?
How old is Jimmy Anderson now?
39 about 4 or 5 days ago, I think it was.
Remarkable.
Yeah. It is remarkable. It's
almost as remarkable as Federer.
Well, he's 39 as well. Did he turn 40? He's 40 next week, isn't he?
Is he?
Something like August the 10th or the 8th or whatever, I think. Yes, I think he's 40 next week. So he's about a year older than Jimmy. In comes Broad again. Rahul feints at playing a defensive shot, but really wasn't. Just kept the bat tucked in behind his pad. Through the keeper it goes. End of the over, a maiden, just a bye from it. India 8 for no wickets.
Leia says, what is Rahul thinking? Rohit is a big boy. He only gorges himself on the finest short filth and doesn't run quick singles.
Quite right.
Madan Mohan Sharma says Rahul was not first choice opening batsman. God has given him this opportunity. He must grab it with both hands. A good innings from him will cement his place in the team. And Forsyth says, hello all. Adam and Jeff tried to solve the slow over problem on the recent episode of The Final Word. They had some interesting ideas. And Mark Green says, love a usual batting collapse and having to hope future of England cricket, Broad and Anderson gets back in it.
Yeah, future of England cricket. This one's full. It swings away from Rohit Sharma. He leaves it alone. Yes, there has to be a way to sort out this overs problem, doesn't there? I mean, so many drinks breaks these days we seem to have. Okay, I know it's 1 hour, one a session. Seems to take longer. It seems to take a lot longer than when I was playing club cricket and someone would just bring out a tray of orange.
Exactly.
And you'd have to. I mean, I would always struggle to finish it before we were back playing. Anderson in bowls, good ball outside the off stump. This time Rohit Sharma will have a single as he drops it into the offside, but that's because he's facing, and he's quite happy to add to his own score and risk Rahul getting run out.
And get off
So
strike.
India move on to 9 for no wicket. Yeah, the drinks breaks in club cricket were always far too short for me because, after about an hour, you just feel like you want to have a bit of a lie down and sit with your fruit and barley juice.
You've always been like this, then, Hendo.
I've got to say,
pretty much.
Drinks breaks in club cricket in the middle of fucking May when they were kind of enforced towards the end were pointless. You didn't want them really. You just want to get on with the game.
Unless it was Bovril.
Well, yeah, hot chocolate.
Anderson, he's looking for the in-swinger there. He goes wider and the ball doesn't come back at all. Saying, what's going on? You were swinging it all over the place. I can't get it to do anything at the moment, or very little anyway. Maybe we just needed a bit of shine off the ball.
Absolutely.
That sometimes happens, doesn't it? And maybe within, I don't know, the next half an hour or so, he will be able to get the ball moving round corners. At the moment, it's not doing a great deal. Anderson then to bowl again to Rahul. 3 slips waiting, and that is a much better delivery. Swings it past his outside edge as he was pressing forward. Gets applause from Joe Root. Joe Root with the big cable knit on now, so he's obviously feeling a bit chilly. That was a trademark Anderson ball, wasn't it? Really.
They must wonder, the international batsman, when the hell is he going to retire?
Especially when they come here.
He's like the Terminator.
Not as big.
You can't kill him.
Well,
sure. Not as big.
He's in again, and
Nice
Rahul drives this time and drives handsomely through a big gap in the offside, and that will run to the boundary very quickly indeed. India 13 for no wicket.
2 + 2 is our man.
It's a bit too full, wasn't it? It's right up there in driving distance. That was a lovely shot. I've always liked Rahul. I've got to say, I think he's got.
I have actually. Technique. I mean, I know he gets a lot of criticism in India, but he's a lovely batsman to watch. He's in all forms of the game. I know he's had a lot of success in the shorter forms. In comes Anderson, bowls onto the back foot he goes. This one's a little bit too short, so he's comfortable in playing that to backward point where Johnny Bairstow fields. That's the end of the over. 5 have been bowled. England haven't got the breakthrough they would have wanted. India are 13 for no wicket.
GB says, for a long time I heard from American athletes that God was involved in their wins. Now I hear she's moved on to Indian team selection. Possibly.
She gets around.
Jay says, as soon as over rates were mentioned, I typed Hendo drinks breaks, but you beat me to it.
Hey! Drinks breaks. It's not so much the drinks breaks, actually. It's people drinking, particularly bowlers. Maybe that shows up my sort of bias as a batsman, but going down after they've bowled 1 over and some teammate runs out with a bottle of water for them. I just find that.
Batsmen who do that as well, changing their gloves every 2.
Well, they shouldn't do that either. I agree. Umpires need to clamp down on all of it. Broad starts a new over, has a Rohit feeling for a ball outside the off stump, bat long way from his body, and could easily have got an edge through. A little bit of encouragement there, but he shouldn't really have been playing at that.
Have there been many catches in the slips today? There haven't, have there? There's a lot of LBWs and caught behinds.
Let's just have a little. Let's have a little look through the England card. Although it doesn't make for.
I'm just thinking.
Great reading. 1, 2, 3, 4 LBWs, and 3 catches, 3 wicketkeeper catches. In comes Broad. Fuller defended back to him, and Broad snatches the ball up and threatens to throw down the wicket behind Rohit Sharma. Doesn't let go of it in the end, and there is no run. I'm
just thinking of our propensity to drop it in the slips anyway.
We've got in the slips. We've got Joe Root at first. We've got Dom Sibley at second, Zach Crawley at third, and Rory Burns, who sort of alternates between slip and gully, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's at 4th slip. I don't think there is a gully at the moment. And Broad is continuing into his 3rd over. He bowls outside the off stump, left alone by Rohit. Rohit on 5, Rahul on 7. 1 extra, India 13 for no wicket. So we're on to 196 in terms of runs scored in the day. I suppose if you are already a fan of the 100 but not any other form of the game, it's like 196 runs in the day. We get about 280 in a night. What is going on out there? Broad in again, bowls to Sharma. It's a full ball. He only has to lean onto the front foot and caress that through the offside, and it will bring him 4 runs, which is what he does. And India move to 17 for no wickets.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep, just a little bit too full from Broad, a little bit too wide, and with that big gap at the moment in the offside from really backward point round to mid-off, all you've got to do is lay the full face of the bat upon it, and you've got runs. So
just present the bat to the ball.
Present the bat to the ball, indeed. Poor old Johnny is having to do a lot of work out there at the moment, scampering around. But England have not got a wicket. Here comes Broad again. He wants to get one of those leg cutters really going, and he bowls to Rowett, who's forward on the line or just outside off stump, defending it on the front foot, and back to the bowler it goes. There is no run. 1 ball remaining in Broad's 3rd over, and England, will they just be getting a little bit worried that they haven't picked up an early wicket?
A bit frustrated.
Frustrated. They've been back a couple of times, a bit too full a couple of other times.
They don't look quite as dangerous as India, though, have they? Broad in again, bowls, looking to get a straighter one in at Rowett this time. He plays it in front of his pads towards mid-wicket. And there is no run. That's the end of the 6th over. India are 17 for no wicket.
Bray 001 says, slow over rates on away tests. If your team is slow, all the accompanying families go in the hat for a draw for one family to be sent home. Brutal. Leia says, yeah, drinks breaks in club cricket are too short. You have to hurry down to get down your double corn, and then you don't have time for a smoke with your booze. Scandalous.
It is.
And Harriet Atkinson says, that's why I love you guys. I left TMS behind when Henry Blofeld left the team. Bonkers is best.
Yes.
On the upside, says Jersey Oak, we've overtaken Australia and the Russian Olympic Committee on the medals table. Weren't the ROC responsible for systematic cheating that got Russia banned? It's bizarre. It is bizarre that Russia are allowed to compete under a different name, effectively, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit odd, isn't it? It's a bit odd.
Russian Olympic Committee.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, either they compete as a team and you forget about what's gone on before, or you don't, really.
Are they the same athletes that would have competed if it was called Russia?
Well, I'm guessing no. I mean, I'm guessing there are some that are banned.
There are quite a few that are banned, but there's an awful lot that got through. I mean, I think it was over 330 or something, 333 athletes, they said.
Bloody hell.
Well, we're going to change the bowling. First change of bowling. Ollie Robinson's coming into the attack. He's going to be bowling to Rahul. He's in. Oh, now that was not far away from the top of off stump. Rahul came right across, but it still skimmed past his outside leg and almost brushed that off stump. He found reason to smile afterwards, but he would have been worried that the clank was about to come. England grinning, but grinning is not really the response to that.
Grinning is not winning.
Anguish should be the response to that. Ollie Robinson in again, back of a length, onto leg stump, clipped nicely by Rahul. Good piece of fielding at mid-wicket. I think it's Dan Lawrence there. And there is no run. Shall we have an Ollie Robinson jingle there?
Yeah, we can do.
Okay. In your own time.
So here's to you, Ollie Robinson. Dizzy loves you now, you change your tune. You're not a buffoon. How will you bowl, Ollie Robinson? No one took more county wickets than you the last year or two. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Back of a length, Rahul fancied taking it on with the forceful drive off the back foot, but hit it straight at, well, not straight at Johnny Bairstow. He had to make a bit of ground, but didn't really time the shot, which gave Bairstow the time to get across.
He's having to do a lot of work, old Johnny B, isn't he?
He became very busy indeed, isn't he? I thought he batted quite well today, Johnny Bairstow.
I thought he batted
know
all
Gary
right as
doesn't like him.
The gates.
That's why I thought he batted pretty well outside the off stump and left alone. A bit too short from Robinson at the moment. It's just got to find the length that he wants to concentrate upon.
We've been joined by Grubby.
Grubby!
All right, Grubby.
He says, incredibly, the draw is still favourite. I mean, I know there's some weather about, but...
That's crazy. That is crazy.
You know all about betting and stuff. Grubs, are you still in Ireland, by the way? He was in Galway.
I saw that. I wasn't sure why. Was he there for work or something?
Golf, wasn't it?
Racing, I think.
Oh, racing. Robinson. Oh, he's got an edge to that. No, he threw the bat at a wide one that went further. And that was a bit of a loose shot from Rowell. He would have chastised himself. He had got a bit of bat on that because it wasn't a great shot at all. Looked like a sort of late decision to play the shot. It just kept getting further away from him. And he could have thrown it all away then. Could have thrown it all away. He's been given this opportunity because Shubman Gill has gone back to India with an injury. And then Mayank Agarwal got hit on the head. Was that in the nets? I think it was.
Yeah,
we haven't actually played in cricket ever. He's got hit in the head in the nets. So his third choice, he nearly gave it away. This time it's too wide from Robinson. It wasn't a highly impressive first over from him back in England colours, but it is the end of the over. And I think that's more or less it from me. I think we've got someone coming in to do the overspill. Who's the overspill man?
I'm an overspill man. Knackle and Fred, I think.
Knackle and Fred joining Nestlers.
Okay. Well, I will say goodbye until tomorrow. Don't get to read our report later.
I'll see you on Friday.
I'll read some tweets out while we're swapping. Jay Grover says, bizarre things Russia does in the international sphere. Starter for 10, or B, or C, A. Farong says, I do enjoy listening to the Hofbear bets for over-unders. What was the line on the fall of the first Indian wicket? I don't think he bet on that. Anderson Ball of great bowlers, says Madame Mohan Sharma. Both have over 1,670 wickets together in international cricket, but I feel both should not play together now. They are ageing. Wood should have been in the team for one of them. Brian Barrish says, I sung that Robinson jingle when Marcus Robinson hit the winning goal in the Gold Cup final over Mexico on Sunday. The USA leads England in a number of cup finals, one in extra time.
Stuart Broad continuing from the pavilion end, bowling to Rohit Sharma, who leaves alone through to the keeper. There is no run. Looking a little bit brighter now than it was half an hour or 40 minutes or so ago. It was pretty gloomy when in the immediate post-tea period. England lost 7 for 45 in 15.2 overs to be bowled out for 183. An auspicious number if you're Indian. That's what they scored in the 1983 World Cup final. A famous day for India. They're 17 for no loss. England won the toss and elected to bat on a pitch that is by no means unplayable. Full delivery from Broad, and Rohit pushes up to mid-off. There is no run. There is some swing, there is some seam, but you expect that. Ball is coming onto the bat okay. It's not bouncing a huge amount, but not Fred Titmus and Nestle Boy. Oh, as Stuart Broad bowls a no ball, a rarity for him.
Over the line! Huh? I'm sorry, Smokey. You were over the line. That's a foul.
But not Fred Titmus and Nestle Boy. This is not the sort of pitch that you'd expect teams to be skittled for under 200 on.
You wouldn't expect a strong batting lineup, certainly. The ball has moved around all day in the hands of skillful bowlers, but it's certainly not a pitch where you'd say, oh, I've got to score some runs because one's got my name on it shortly. That's definitely not the case.
3 slips await for England as Broad comes in outside off stump, left alone through to the keeper. There is no run. Interesting that Anderson was the one taken off to get Ollie Robinson into the attack. I suppose with only half an hour or 25 minutes left in the day, there is some room to mix the bowlers around, get Curran into the attack at some point. England going in with an all-seam attack with those four, and supported by the part-time spin of Joe Root and Dan Lawrence. India also went in with 4 seamers plus Ravindra Jadeja, who only bowled a few overs because the seamers were so effective. This is down the leg side, and Rohit tries to work to leg that's come off the thigh pad and will be signalled a leg by Michael Goff, bringing KL Rahul onto strike.
I think if we see Dan Lawrence get a bowl, England will be deep in the doo-doo.
Indeed. Unless suppose he might bowl, a joke over before, or not a joke over, but here, have a go over before a session break or something.
He's more likely to finish an over when somebody else has torn something.
Well, yeah.
Looks a bit gloomy at the ground now.
Yeah, floodlights have been on for a good hour and a half or more. KL Rahul on 7, facing up to Broad, who he goes back in his crease and blocks on the bounce to Gully. There is no run. KL Rahul playing this game, opening for the first time in a while, because of an injury to Shubman Gill's shin splints, which have forced him out of the tour. He's back in India, and Mayank Agarwal a couple of days ago was hit on the head in the nets by a Mohammad Siraj bouncer, which apparently he ducked into and was hit on the side and back of the head and was showing clear signs of concussion, and so was not medically fit to play this game. So KL Rahul has got his chance after a while out of the side. This one he tries to defend into the onside and ends up coming off the bottom part of the bat through his own legs and nestling just outside off stump. Wasn't quite sure what to do with that. KL Rahul, it skidded onto him. Good delivery from Broad. There is no run. He's also a little bit lucky that, in a sense, Prithvi Shaw was the Mumbai opener. The young man was called into the Indian squad, as was Surya Kumar Yadav from the touring party in Sri Lanka. But one of the Indian players on that tour, Krunal Pandya, tested positive for COVID. Prithvi Shaw had to isolate as a close contact, and so has arrived in England late and has had to isolate again, so is not available for this test match, as Rahul blocks back to the bowler. There is no run. Will go down as a... No, it won't go down as a maiden. There was a no ball and a leg bye off that over. India, after 8 overs of their first innings, 19 for none, trail by 164.
Well, Jersey Oak wants to know, are we going to commentate on the 100 after this? No. Bairstow's innings was improved by almost everyone else's, says Jeff Perkins. Brian says, not only is not Fred Titmus, he's not Ariane Titmus either. What a versatile gent.
Yeah, so many people I'm not.
Yeah, she's been doing fine things in the Olympics. Ariana Titmus.
What's her thing?
Is she the swimmer?
Uh-huh.
Is she the swimmer who beat? She beat Katie Ledecky, the much decorated American, a couple of times. This from Ollie Robinson, who's in from the Radcliffe Road end, is down the leg side, taken on the skip by Butler. There is no run. There was that video you may have seen of the Australian swimming coach humping a plexiglass wall in Rapture, I suppose. He was. That was her coach.
Okay.
One of the few clips I've seen is of a coach slapping somebody round the face.
Yeah, I saw that.
To G her up for her event.
As Robinson is in. This one jags into Rohit Sharma and keeps a little bit low. He was trying to play that off the back foot, inside edges onto his pads, and there is no run. Ollie Robinson is one of those bowlers who can get a bit of life out of almost any surface. Hits the pitch hard, gets the ball to zip around. Very, very effective bowler. Took 7 wickets on his test debut, in amidst which previous tweets came out, and he was suspended pending an investigation. The investigation was complete, and no further punishment was applied. As we see that David Lloyd has borrowed one of Dinesh Karthik's jackets as Rohit leaves this outside off stump, and there is no run. One of those Indian jackets, Ujkans, they're called, with the low collar and the buttons.
Okay, I like those.
Yeah, they're nice. I'll be getting to wear one of those in a couple of weeks. I'm going to a wedding in a couple of weeks.
Well, back home?
No, in Hemel Hempstead.
Oh God,
back home in Hemel Hempstead.
My uncle and I've got a lot of family in Hemel Hempstead. Say hello to them for me.
I will if I see them, which is unlikely. 3 slips and a gully awaits, backward point mid on, long leg, and another man in the leg side as Rohit leaves this through to the keeper. There is no run.
Broad is complaining that there was a shift in the rotation of the earth which caused him to bowl a no ball, says Warren. Possibly.
The rotation of the earth is pretty constant. He should be able to work that out.
Doesn't it wobble?
In advance.
Even the wobble is also... I mean, all of these things were worked out by ancient astronomers many, many thousands of years ago. So,
well, the wobble was was it Milenkovic in about 100 years ago.
Back of a length, and this one strikes Rohit on the thigh pad and drops down into the onside. Rory Burns fields at cover, and there is no run.
There was a chap called, I think it was Milenkovic, who was caught in an enemy country in the First World War, and he was put into some kind of, well, he was held in a camp, and he used his time by calculating tables on the rotation of the Earth and the wobble. So he had a very productive First World War, whilst confined against his will.
Beats playing chess against yourself, as Robinson is in, strikes Rohit on the pad, an appeal which Richard Kettleborough answers in the negative. It was a good delivery, tight to middle stump. Might have been a little bit high, struck Rohit high on the pad, and no one's really that bothered about reviewing it, but a good over from Robinson. He's bowled 2 maidens to start his spell from the Radcliffe Road end. India 19 for none.
Well, Vera Raghavan is not happy. Commentators are supposed to be impartial, but Michael Holding never uttered a word when 2 boundaries were hit by Indian batsmen. But so many oohs and ahs when Indian batsmen were beaten. Not acceptable. Well,
he's a bowler. They tend to.
I replied
to concentrate on their own expertise.
I replied with that. Yeah, there are commentators who can be a bit one-eyed. I don't think Michael Holding is one of them.
Well, especially since he's neither English or Indian, so he doesn't really have a dog in this race. But bowlers are always oohing and ahhing. Yeah. It's what they do.
Well, it's just people ooh when the ball goes past the bat. It just happens. As Broad is into KL Rahul. This one jumps on KL Rahul a little bit, and he takes a bottom hand off the bat, and it's fielded by Bairstow at backward point. There is no run. Things starting to happen off the seam a little bit for Broad and Robinson now, hitting the pitch hard. The taller bowlers. It wasn't a huge amount of swing earlier, a little bit, but nothing extravagant. We've seen sometimes that these Duke balls have started swinging more when the lacquers come off, although tell that to Rory Burns after Jasprit Bumrah wrapped him on the pad in the first over.
202 runs in the day so far. We should talk about our GPL entries.
Yes, lowest entry is 203 by Messi Jez. This is very wide and left alone by Rahul. Through to the keeper, there is no run.
But he also has entries of 213 and 223. I think the 213 is a distinct possibility.
Yes, we've got 17 minutes left in the day's play. Theoretically 12 overs, we're not going to get that. Maybe a few overs short.
If you want to know why, send an email to Gary Naylor. He'll explain it to you.
A few things, like there was a weird drinks break in the middle of an over because Johnny Bairstow scraped his arm, and they had to do some, I don't know, Savlon or something. This one squares Rahul up a little bit. He plays it with soft hands, and it goes down between gully and backward point. The latter, Bairstow, scuttles after it and gets to it before it can go anywhere near the sponge. Just a single to KL Rahul, who's 8 off 32, looking a little bit less comfortable against Broad and Robinson than he was against Anderson earlier. Rohit is 9 off 26. India won't care as long as they get through to stumps wicketless.
If a meteor lands on the outfield now, it'll be a bit disappointing for the crowd, but Messi Jez will win the GPL.
I wonder how far away the shockwave would be felt. See if the stands can contain it. Seems unlikely. 3 slips. There's no gully, but there is a sort of catching cover point in position for Rohit Sharma for the aerial drive. This is full from Broad and wide outside off stump, trying to tempt Rohit to play that drive. He doesn't. There is no run. There's also a backward point, quite fine, and a mid-off, a little bit wider as well. And there's a mid-on, a mid-wicket, and a long leg in the field in the leg side.
It's a bit of an odd position because you'd think if it was a full-blooded drive, it would carry to deeper than that.
Well, maybe it's just for the one that he doesn't
Just
quite keep
pops
down.
up,
Just
yeah.
pops up. Or the one he flicks to leg and there's a leading edge. As Broad is in, right arm over the wicket and bowls, and full delivery and edged by Rohit Sharma, but down, and Zach Crawley does well really at third slip to field, and there is no run. Couple of edges in the last couple of overs, no chances. Soft hands from Rohit and Rahul, but the ball is doing a little bit off the seam. That lovely seam position of the Stuart Broad, and it just moved away from him. Could have been quite painful actually for Crawley. He fielded that with his wrist, which is not advisable. Played a game a few weeks ago where there were at least 5 fielders who fielded the ball with their kneecap. You can hear it's a very distinct sound. The sound
Oh
of a
yes.
cricket ball on a kneecap.
Everyone round the field tends to know.
Last ball of the over from Broad goes a little wider on the crease, left alone by Rohit. Through to the keeper, there is no run. Better from Broad and Robinson in these last few overs. India 20 for 9 after 10.
Leia says that slapping video was not even the worst German coaching performance. A cycling coach yelled something about camel drivers. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh no.
Farong says, well, the rotation of the Earth makes my day.
Hey, very
And
good.
copies in Tony Bishop, of course. Ryan says, slow over rate, 25 runs added to the other team for each 5 overs, slow or parts thereof. And Jay wonders if not Fred might start espousing flat Earth theory for shits and giggles. Dave Wood says, I always found Colin Milburn very one-eyed. Too soon?
Dear.
Leia says, Holding generally has horses in every race, according to his colleagues, who apparently lost a few bob by listening to his rips. And Derek Willis, who's down in North Carolina enjoying the beach there, says, pretty sure the crowd would be impressed by a meteor hitting the ground.
Albeit
a big one, yes.
Albeit only briefly. Zach Crawley's gone in short leg to KL Rahul, with Ollie Robinson getting some bounce and some movement into the right-hander. Still got the 3 slips in place, so the gully presumably has been taken out, as Robinson is in. That's a foolish delivery on the pads, and it's easy for Robinson to clip down to Sam Curran at long leg. Without whose enterprising 27 not out, England might have struggled to make 150.
What's that film about a meteor hitting the Earth?
Meteor?
Or asteroid?
No, I think it was called Meteor.
Armageddon.
Oh no, Deep Impact.
There was Deep Impact and Armageddon, which came out pretty much in the same year.
Oh, Armageddon was the one where they hacked into the aliens' computer system.
No, that was
That's very
Independence
handy.
Day. This is left alone by Rohit through the keeper. There is no run. That was Independence Day.
That was
Independence Day.
Armageddon was the one where they sent Bruce Willis to blow up an asteroid.
Yeah,
I
mining.
wouldn't send Bruce Willis. Why would you send Bruce Willis?
Well, he won't
So
come
many
back,
better
will he?
people.
There was some plot line with Liv Tyler that didn't really make much sense.
She was his daughter, wasn't she?
Yeah, I like them Independence Day hacking into the aliens in about 10 minutes.
I like Independence Day. It's a good modern day sort of 50s B movie.
It's a good crappy film.
It has a good,
Yeah.
has a good stirring speech from Bill Pullman. Sam Curran's pulling up at long leg. This is a full delivery which Rohit pushes back to Robinson, who fields off his own bowling, and there is no run.
It's good fun.
Yeah, they upload a virus to the alien computer using a Windows 95 PC.
Yeah. Messi just says, where's a bloody meteor when you need one? Well, we might have
Too late.
Mets.
Well, it's too late now for him because he's not winning it anymore unless another 9 runs are scored. So
Just not impossible by any means. Joe Root is giggling, which is his natural state, as Rohit faces up to Ollie Robinson, who's in right arm over the wicket and bowls a drivable delivery, which Rohit does not drive, and there is no run. You suspect if this were 12:30 tomorrow afternoon, he would be driving at that, but with only 12 minutes before lunch, I don't think that's likely. Can see Cheteshwar
before
Pujara.
lunch, bloody hell!
Sorry, before
It's a long day.
close of play. See Cheteshwar Pujara there padded up. India didn't bother with the night watch in the World Test Championship final when they had the option. They don't really have anyone who can fulfill that role. Shardul Thakur can bat, but is a much more aggressive player than usually fits the brief for the night watchman. This is a delivery from Ollie Robinson that Rohit plays half forward to and is struck high on the pad. Ollie Robinson is giving the inner thighs of KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma a good workout in this spell. There is no run. He's bowled well. And taking wickets for fun for Sussex over the years.
Well, it is fun when you take wickets. Generally. I noticed that Sky are calling him Rohit rather than Sharma.
Yep.
I know we deal with foreign naming conventions in different ways, but
it's also the name
I think that's new.
It's also the name. No, I don't think so. It's also the name he prefers on the back of his shirt. This is a full delivery, and Rohit Sharma pushes back to the bowler. There is no run. India 21 for none. It's not. It's not like Ashwin where Ashwin, that is his given name. Ravichandran is his father's name, and that's how it works in Tamil societies. I think with names like with Sharma and Yadav, they are so common that often the first name is used. It would sound a little. Certainly, I would it sounds weird coming out of my mouth if I were just to call him Sharma or Umesh Yadav just Yadav, or Moeen Ali just Ali or something like that. But yes, naming conventions can be quite interesting. We do have a change of bowling. Stuart Broad out of the attack after 5 overs, 1 maiden, none for 9, bowled pretty well from the pavilion end, and in with the Phil Foden, Paul Gascoigne, Dan Petrescu blonde dye job is this bowler.
Is he a better bowler? Sam Curran. What's his distinguishing feature? Sam Curran. He's not from Zimbabwe. Sam Curran. And he's beloved by Liz Yates. Sam Curran.
KL Rahul obligingly backs away before Curran can bowl, so we can finish his jingle.
Well, he's just looked at his hair and gone, what the?
Oh, they were all doing it during the Euros. Ben Stokes did it a little bit. Liam Livingston.
It was precious little else to do during the lockdowns.
As Curran is in, past umpire Goff, left arm over the wicket, swinging the ball into KL Rahul, who wants a single as he pushes to leg. Rohit Sharma very much does not want the single. Lawrence feels there is no run. I like the positivity, though, from Rahul and Rohit Sharma. They've been looking for those singles every time they've defended a ball. They've managed a 3 in the first couple of overs, which is not that easy at a ground as smallish as Trent Bridge. Sam Curran bowled extremely well at India on the tour of 2018, and has developed a reputation as a bowler who can, quote, make things happen, i.e. we get wickets, he gets wickets, and we're not quite sure how. This one angles across. KL Rahul doesn't swing back into him. He's playing for the one that swings back into him, perhaps, and his flashy drive meets with nothing but thin air. There is no run.
Jay says that Independence Day was written by Bear and the alien computers were all Apple compatible. I did not know that.
Yes.
Might have rather ruined the plot if there were, compatibility issues and stuff. The USB stick doesn't fit, etc., etc. I don't think they even had USB sticks in 1996. No. This is a full delivery and driven by Rahul to cover. There is no run. The floppy disk. We need another floppy disk.
Yeah, update your drivers. Send off for a CD.
Someone's on the phone. Get off the phone. We need the modem.
Oh, those were the days. Working in an office where there was a telex machine.
As Sam Curran is in. That's a beautiful delivery which threatens to swing into KL Rahul and then just holds its line and beats the outside edge. Credit to KL Rahul for not following that as it angled across him, and he allows himself to be beaten. Good delivery from Curran. There is no run.
Allows himself to be beaten.
Well, it's very easy to follow those and let your ego get in the way, and you end up edging it. You just got to be beaten and deal with it and get on with it.
Take the loss and move on.
Take your medicine.
It's going to happen when you're an opening batter. As Curran is in, Rahul drives, gets himself in a bit of a tangle. His front foot was quite a long way across, and he had to rather bring the bat round it, gets the bat onto the ball, back to the bowler. There is no run. You have to be a little bit careful with that. That certainly won't discourage Curran from bowling the big in-swinger to try and trap him LBW.
He should be trying that anyway. He's got a newish ball. It's only the 12th over. It hasn't taken much by way of punishment yet, so he does get swing. He even gets swing with an old ball. So
as Curran is in, back of a length, angling this across Rahul, who defends on the bounce to gully. There is no run. A maiden, a good one from Sam Curran. India 21 for none, with probably 1 over left until the close of play.
Farong says, how about Pitch Invasion by Killer Tomatoes? What a film that was. Yeah, it was mental. Grand Theft Auto's just joined us, just tuned in, is mentally busy at work. Oh my motherfucking dreary me. Oh, dearie me, sorry. Joe Grover, renaming conventions. When I were at school, the register would have been both boring and confusing if the teacher had to say calm for 5 minutes. Bryony001 says, some time ago I thought Channel 4 said they were showing all the England games. Was that last year or this year?
That was when England were in India in February and March, as Robinson is in. Rohit defends into the offside, sets off for a single and is rightly sent back by KL Rahul as the jet-heeled Johnny Bairstow, former teenage sprinter, is in, and there is no run. Believe that the BBC have highlights of these games. They certainly did of the New Zealand series. And they were showing a number of the limited overs internationals that were happening against Sri Lanka and Pakistan. There has been cricket on terrestrial television this year for the first time in a sustained manner since 2005. 3 slips on the gully, mid on. I think we've got that short leg as well, and the mid wicket and the long leg. This is a full delivery, angling into the pads of Rohit. The big appeal from Robinson. Nothing doing, says umpire Richard Kettleborough. Looked a little bit leggy on that first view. Robinson is convinced Joe Root and Joss Buttler aren't. Oh no, Joe Root has gone for the review. I'm not sure this is a high percentage review.
I think that's missing leg.
That was out. That was out. That was definitely out. Was that definitely out? No.
I think the best they can hope for at this point is it's clipping leg and they retain the review. But my first impression was that was.
Rohit didn't really go anywhere. It's hit him on the knee roll. Can't really tell exactly the line from this angle, which is sort of from mid-off. He's not hit it, certainly. The bat has hit the pad, and then the ball has hit the knee roll. He's kind of trapped on the crease, as he has been a couple of times in this over. You can clearly see that the ball hasn't hit the pad. It's hit him kind of on leg stump, really. I think that our initial impression that it isn't hitting the bulk of the stump is correct. It's hit him on the inside of leg stump, and it's missing leg. Our initial impressions are confirmed, which is always nice because that doesn't happen that often. And umpire Kettleborough's initial impressions were confirmed as well. More importantly, England lose their first of 3 unsuccessful reviews.
Who's that one on? The bowler, the captain, the wicketkeeper?
I mean, the bowler's allowed to impeel for it, but it does. I mean, I think Butler
was going to be the keeper.
I thought Butler was trying to talk Root out of it.
Yeah.
I think I'm pinning the blame on Root on that occasion. Robinson in. This is one that rises outside off stump and left alone through to the keeper. There is no run. Although Robinson was in the best position to see it, to be honest, you can't necessarily tell whether that's going down leg as a keeper because the batter's in the way.
Well, you should be heading in the right direction.
Yeah, but you know whether you might not know whether it's hitting leg stump or missing. You're going down leg, but I don't know. Obviously, we don't have the mics on. We did see earlier that Rishabh Pant talked Virat Kohli into a review for the dismissal of Zach Crawley, an inside edge onto the pad through to the keeper. Kohli didn't want the review, Pant did, and Pant was absolutely correct. This is a good delivery, tight to off stump and full, and Rohit defends back to the bowler. There is no runs. There's been a searching spell from Robinson.
With an edge, it's slightly different in that it's possible for one person to have a much better view than another person, standing a couple of yards away. So, that's a little bit more understandable that there should be a difference of opinion between two fielders.
Your angle can be important as well. You might not see an inside edge from slip.
No.
To be honest, you might not be able to in the best position to judge the line unless you're right behind the ball. Even if you're at mid.
It's more you tend to get a feel for these things, and you don't have to think about it too much. It's where the batsman is. You're using your experience in that situation.
Inside edge from Rohit, which dribbles to Zach Crawley along the ground. This has been really good from Robinson, challenging Rohit on the inside edge, and KL Rahul as well. Both started fairly fluently but have been tied down in these last few overs. Robinson is jogging back to his mark
to get another over in.
Get one more over in.
Cheered on from Perth.
Might just about manage it. Yes, we've had, 183 plus 21.
So
we've had
204
runs. Yes, well, another 9 runs in 1 over, maybe. Unlikely. Full delivery outside off stump row. It's happier with it there and defends to point. There is no run. A good over from Robinson. England lost their review, but it was a good over. No, it's ticked over to 6:30. So that is that. India do survive that testing spell from Ollie Robinson and Stuart Broad in particular at the close of day, and that is emphatically India's day, with no asterisks or any caveats at all. India 21 for none after 13 overs of the first innings, having dismissed England for 183. They trail by 162 runs at the end of day one, with all 10 first innings wickets in hand, having lost the toss. A very, very good first day of the series and the new World Test Championship cycle for India.
Right.
Well,
do you want me to rattle through a couple of tweets before we go?
Yes, indeed.
Warren says the Scandinavian, excuse me here,
patronymic.
Sorry?
Patronymic.
And matronymic naming convention was always bewildering to me.
It's quite simple, actually. It's the son of, or the daughter of, Goodmanson is the son of Goodman.
Yes. Henriksen. Son of Henrik. Harry Axelson informs us that BBC 2 at 7 p.m. for highlights. And Farom says, just blame Alex Hales for the missed review.
Curious stat, Cheteshwar Pujara has a higher test scoring rate than Alex Hales.
Another curious stat I saw, that when Anderson was the first England bowler to bowl in a test match with more than 1,000 wickets behind him, since whom?
Who was the last bowler to take 1,000 first class? Andy Caddick would have retired by the time he took his 1,000th first class wicket.
He retired before he took his first. That's quite.
Sorry,
quite
but after he retired from Test cricket before he'd taken his. That's a very good question. I was doing some research on this the other day. Of when the 1,000 happened, I was looking at who were the last bowlers. Martin Bicknell.
If he may have bowled in a Test match, but I don't think it was near the end of his career.
Did anyone win the GPL, by the way?
No, Messi Jazz missed it by one run. India.
Messi.
One run. Too many were scored in the day. 204 to Messi Jazz's 203, which means that the pot tomorrow starts at £151.
Wow. Get on it, folks. I'm going to love you and leave you because I'm needing to blow my nose and cough with this cold. So have fun, and I'll see you later.
The answer to the quiz question was Phil Tufnell.
Get out of
Very
here.
good.
Got over 1,000 first-class wickets. May not see that happen again.
The main performers today: Joe Root with 64 of 108 balls, by head and shoulders the best English batter again. 29 for Johnny Bairstow, started to look more fluent as he went, and Sam Curran with a breezy 27 not out, and Zach Crawley again looking okay for his 27, but Jasprit Bumrah with 4 for 46. Mohammad Shami, the best of India's bowlers, 3 for 28. Shardul Thakur bowled very well as the fourth seamer, having been brought in with India only playing the one spinner. No Ashwin with Ishant Sharma injured. Shardul Thakur did a very good holding job, apart from when Sam Curran started slapping him around, took 2 important wickets, including that of Joe Root. And in fact took those 2 in the same over. Mohammad Siraj didn't bowl all that well, certainly not as well as he's bowled in his Test career thus far, but did dismiss Zach Crawley, and Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul are both 9 not out. Best of England's bowlers, Ollie Robinson with 4 of his 3 maidens, none for 1, and close LBW call. But that is it for us today here at Guerrilla Cricket. Join us again tomorrow at 10:50 a.m. UK time, when we'll have for you to bring you day 2 of this Test match. We will have Hendo, we will have me, Tony, Gary, Fred, Gary Naylor, Jacob Jaffa, Messi Jez, and Jules Farman. And be until that time, 10:50 a.m. UK time, which is, if you are listening to us in India, 3:20 p.m. UK time. Be thoroughly lovely to yourselves and each other. Bye bye.
Guerrilla Cricket. Lenin, O'Brien, Kevin. Guerrilla Cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick Guerrilla Cricket, it's the finest choice.